Oh dear, what an absolute nightmare that was. Oh, total mad panic there for ages. Hello YouTube. YouTube changed the system for how you set up to play, and I was just all over the place there. What happened was, because the TV I'm using doesn't quite take the whole screen. Panic. 20 minutes I've been trying to find the save button, and I eventually found it. So, how's it going? 6 brilliant. Hey Craig, hey Jez. A little bit flustered there. I didn't think it was going to happen. Actually, what are the chances of it being going on just at exactly 8 o'clock? Hey Daniel, how's it going? I'm playing bass this week, just for no other reason other than I'm a bass player and figure I'll do my wee intro thing. I don't know if everything's working. Does anyone tell me, is it this mic that's on?
Hello.
Because I've lost the way of setting up the YouTube stream's completely different now. So I don't have a clue what's going on. Really annoying. I didn't mean that. Right, just that. And yes, Stephen, I'm alright. I've calmed down now after that faffing about trying to get the thing to play. Hey, Dava. I'm stressed. I'm alright. I'm looking forward to starting my bike any second. So I need to play a wee bit of bass to try and get back in. Hey, how's it going? Hey Craig, I'm thinking of buying a bass. But everyone should have a bass. Dava listening. Had a big argument with this when I was drunk last week about buy a bass. Oh, I don't like play the bass, play them. Yeah. So it's a bit silly. But yeah, basses are great fun. And in my view, everyone who plays the guitar should have a bass as well, because it's the same notes. It's just there's lots of things you can do that you can't do on a guitar. Like on a guitar, it never sounds great just going. Whereas it sounds great doing it on a bass. I take it. I don't know the Pogues enough. Tanglewood should be all right, but to be honest, if you're looking at basses, I would look at the cheap Squire basses. Always seem to be really good. I'm less impressed with their guitars than I am with the basses. I mean, like your basic P bass and the Bronco bass, they're brilliant. And they're never going to go down in value really, because a P bass is a P bass, and everyone always wants a P bass. You get sort of more obscure ones. The Electric Caveman hitting the auto level a bit hard. That's probably that might be the bass though. Bass is a bit funny. It doesn't like. I probably shouldn't be playing the bass. I just wanted to. And Tanglewood could be good as well. Yeah, I mean, there's a trade-off between getting one that's really comfy, because I think quite a lot of basses are pretty ugly. This one obviously I bought because it's just like. It's like, you ever seen that photo on it was on Facebook a while ago when someone's got like the entire roof of their mouth full of teeth. It's kind of like that. You know, it's like too many teeth. So this is, and I didn't do this. This actually came like this. So it's got 2 P bass pickups wired as one. It's you can't read that. It's a Diamond Series rock device. So one, it says rock device on the headstock. 2 crazy looking pickups that I had to hear. 3, it's a P bass. Sort of pointy headstock, angled back, and I quite like the fact it's got a white painted neck. Yeah, sorry, catch up a bit. Yeah, so I mean, basses are. The thing I think about the bass as well, like a £90 or £100 bass, you can kind of get one you can gig with. I think pretty easily. More so than a guitar, because I think it's just down to the physics of it. Provided that, well, I don't know. In some ways, it's obviously you need to have a better piece of wood that's going to take this amount of tension, and it's also much longer. But I mean, the electrics are really simple. Basically, you just want a P bass pickup, or you only need one of them. I can't really cover them up to get one. That's basically all I need. Hey, Pontiac, could you do the server? That was Moth Code, who's gone to bed now. That's my girlfriend. I said, do you fancy drawing this picture? And she did. And I thought it looked really good. I just, I'm going to, so I think she's kind of put herself into getting a bit, she'll be getting asked to do more of that stuff. Hey, Morbid Angel. Sound is crackling. Yeah, I think it might just be, is the sound crackling with my talk? Or is it just when I'm playing the bass? Because as I said, as the first 5 minutes I spent complaining, I've been in a mad panic because YouTube made a new system that was much easier to use, and it didn't have the thing where you could check which microphone it was using. So I might be using the microphone on the camera, which will be probably all right for talking, but absolutely pants for any sort of music. I want to be using the Snowball, which you can actually see because I've got a new wide angle camera. Hey, X-Paps. Crackling when talking. I don't know what I can do with that. And I don't seem to have any option. I mean, I'm looking at the... It's not that one it's on, is it? It's that one. I really don't know how... I've got the thing that says microphone. I take it that's just because it turns it off. That's no good. I really don't know what else I can do to make it work better. Yeah. Yeah, it's just like local art, local to Taiwan, unfortunately. But yes, yeah, local art. Snowball is on. Just stop cackling. Yeah. I really don't know what I can do to sort it out. Is it still? I've kind of caught up at the bottom of the chat now. Is it still bad? Is it still crackling when I talk? I don't know. I don't think I haven't adjusted anything. And if I look at my wee VU meter there, it's barely registering, so it shouldn't be over the top. Check plugs. That 2 seconds. Kind of look. It's plugged away into the back of the computer. It's not been touched for ages. I'm kind of stuck. It's like the live things. It's totally going by the seat of my pants. I really don't know how to change anything. I don't know. I do. I mean, the bass does have a dodgy input on it. I take it that's not what everyone's talking about for crackling. Well, some people seem to think it's not too bad, so I will try and sort it out. It really took me by surprise when at past suddenly it went, oh, we've got a fantastic new system to set up your live streams. It's like, right, where's all the things that I had before? Not there. So literally I was on for half an hour trying to get it working. The People's Republic of Fife, the Kingdom. Not heard any music yet. I'm kind of... I used to have a problem with YouTube videos that the mic on my camera couldn't cope with the bass at all. It just... mounted your telly neck pickup to the body. Now you have to figure out a mod for the 3 screws. What do you mean the 3 screws? You're talking about why don't you when you've got a screw? Why don't you just? I'm kind of lost with the 3 screws idea. I have done it before a couple of times. There's one there. When you say mounted hard to the body, this one here, that's mounted hard to the body, and I've just got the 3 screw holes. So basically, I think I just put a bit of neoprene or a bit of rubber or a bit of foam or something behind it and screws it down. It means you have to set the bridge. You have to set it to the right height before you put the bridge on, sort of thing, which is a bit annoying. But aside from that, I don't really see any other way around it. Sorry, continue on with my bucky. You're right, Fife side. Aye, yeah, I won't be. It's at the end. I find the Fife people always sound so cheery. Same with when you go to Stirling. Glasgow people tend to sound a bit aggressive, like they're going to punch you when they're actually just saying hello, mate. Whereas in Fife and Stirling, it's always pure They always seem dead cheery, which is a great thing. I always love going there. A little bit far away. I actually nearly bought a bass there in Glenrothes last week. And I was so tempted, but I had my sensible head on, so I didn't buy it. A lovely Ibanez ATK. I wonder if anyone here bought it. It's kind of like not like a modern-y looking one, really, but it had like a telly bridge. You know, say like the telly bridge has got like a metal plate with a pickup in it. If you imagine that, apart from it was like a P-bass pickup and a bridge and the metal plate, kind of went away up to here, and it had a triple coil super bucker in the bridge position. And it was like 120 quid. Really. And I think it came with an amp. The thing is, it's not one I would have been able to buy and sell because I would have bought it and kept it, and then I would have had another bass. And I do have quite a few surplus to requirement basses that I don't want to get rid of, ones like this. It's really silly. The thing is, it's really nice. It's kind of you get your super strat. So you get your super strat that's got like a 24 frets, a thin turbo metal neck, the pointy headstock and all. This is kind of like a super bass, where it's basically a P bass, but I think this cuts in a little bit more, and it's got like an extra couple of pickups in it, which is just silly. It's not active though, which is what you thought. Hey Craig, you have a question. Bought a Hondo this week for 80 quid from eBay. Thought it was a Hondo 2. It's the one made of different bits of wood varnished. Is that the one? That's a good. Yeah, Hondo. Well, Hondo and Hondo 2. Does that have? Does the headstock have the rising sun Hondo logo? I was actually going to dig my Hondo bass out. It's got that. Basically, Hondo 2 and Hondo are the same thing. All right. Stephen says it's actually sounded better, right? I think it's maybe just the level is maybe really low. Maybe because I started off thumping away at the bass, the automatic level sensor thing's going, whoa, turn that down. Yeah, no, I know the Hondo you mean. That's an excellent guitar. That's basically like the Epiphone Les Paul. I can't remember. They've all got the Hondo guitars don't have great names. It's an H8 something. It's just like the expensive ones are like an H1000 or an H1200, and the cheaper ones are like an H100. That's kind of it. They don't really have names as such. They're not called Rock Device. This is Diamond Series Rock Device. Yeah, the ATK bass is active for triple coil pickup. It said the switch wasn't working, and I really thought about it. I think it's gone now. I think I missed it, but it looked fantastic, and the reason I didn't want it was because I wouldn't have been able to sell it, because I would have wanted to keep it. So if it had been like, I'm quite happy buying jazz basses, P basses, and things like that, doing them up, selling them, because I've got a couple of Schecter P basses. I suppose this is a P bass as well, so I don't need anymore. I can't justify having it, whereas that I would have ended up keeping, and I would have ended up with another bass, which I don't want. Oh, sorry, Craig, the other question. What was the other question? Oh. I don't know what your other question was, Craig. I've missed it. You had a question. The Chinese are doing what the Japanese did 40 years ago. Jane Deber is making cheap for some markets and more expensive for others. A strip, that's possibly true. I mean, the thing is, it comes down to, the stuff made in China is bad or whatever. It's not. That's not the case. It just depends on how much you want to give them to make you a guitar. I mean, if you go up and say, how cheap can you make me a guitar? And they're churning them out from, let's be honest here, some of the cheaper guitars you can buy cost a tenner from the factory, probably less than a tenner from the factory. If you said, I want you to build a guitar for 30 quid, it's going to be 3 times better than the £10 one, for factory ways. And people can do that. That's how your Harley Bentons and stuff are coming out and being pretty good, because they're saying, I want you to build a guitar like this. How much does that cost? Oh, that costs £25 at the factory. Right, that's fine. We'll put that up for 180. Whereas other people, it's like a tenner or 100. It's kind of all the way working way around. But there might be elements of making different bases for different markets. It's really just how much somebody's willing to pay. Like the importers are willing to pay for a guitar, how cheap they can get it. They're not. These factories aren't guitar companies as such. They're just built what you tell them to. So if you tell what you build it, right, what you build is a Strat, right? Okay, which pickups do you want? Is that well? I see you've got pickups at like 15 quid, one's at a 10 and one's at £8. Can you get pickups cheaper than that? And it's like the factory guy go, well, but they don't really work. They don't pick up the high E string. That's fine. Yeah, it's not the factory's fault. If you were to recommend a mid-budget Strat, well, I've got a different mid-budget. But by mid-budget, okay, sorry. By mid-budget mean 500 to 800 quid. Yes, the 800 quid doesn't fit in my mid category. I don't have any guitars that cost as much as that. I don't have any guitars that cost as much as 500. We find Ouija types are very nasal and aggressive. Yeah, I don't know about nasal, maybe. I don't know, deep, sort of like German or something. Good for punching somebody. I'm confused about pickups. I bought some iron gear ones from eBay. I don't think you can really go far wrong with iron gear or Warman or Wilkinson or Vanson. There's a few makes that are kind of like that. I think they're just getting them from the same Chinese factories that build all the other pickups, but they're speccing them themselves. So they're saying we want this kind of magnet, this kind of wire, and that's kind of it. I mean, I've never really had ones that were bad. If you've got ones that you don't think are good, it's probably you bought the wrong kind. Because if you're looking for vintagey style Strat pickups, which is what I would want in my Strat there, then you want sort of, like low output. Or if you want to play metal with it, you probably want really high output active EMG types. They're very different pickups. So I would probably like cheaper vintagey ones than I would like expensive, super hot, mega rock ones. Really. There seems to be really cheap ones from China that seem to be the same, but just unbranded. I've come across that. And it's like I've bought a few sets of pickups, especially for like the Bucky casters and stuff like that. I bought like red Seymour Duncan Invader-y type ones, and they're great. They're miles better than what you get in like the cheapest Epiphones and the cheapest Squires. And I think it costs something like 12 quid for the pair. They've just copied everything. But a Strat mid-budget, basically buy second hand, and I don't know. I mean, I do have a Strat now, like an actual Japanese Strat, but most of the stuff I buy is Japanese. So I mean, I did have a really nice classic vibe telly in for a setup a couple of months ago now, and I was really impressed with it. That was a telly, not a Strat. So I don't know. I mean, it's the problem is it just depends how much money you've got to spend, because like if you're looking at Squires or just Fender in general, it's like they've got one for every £100 mark. You all got 100 or 200 or 300 or 400. They've got one at that price point, they've made them that way. It's not like there's any sort of jump in there. But someone said there, midget strat, a Pacifica is not a strat, but yeah, whatever you pay for a Pacifica, the same level, pretty much anything else won't be as good as a Pacifica at the same price level. You know, like a £300 Pacifica will be better than a £300 Squire or whatever, or a £500 Pacifica will be better than a 500. But it's still it's a Pacifica. It's not a strat. So the price of it, the value of it, second hand, will plummet really quickly on things like Yamahas. They're better guitars, but you don't. If you're planning to keep it forever, I had a Pacifica 612, I think it was. What a beautiful guitar! It was stunning. It should have been easily a grand or something like that. And I think the guy said he paid £300 for it second hand. You know, it's like that. That's where you look. All right, I'm going to try and catch up a little bit. What shape of guitar do you love the look of but find awkward to play? For me, it's the SG. Beautiful things, but I struggle to find one I can get on with. Yes, I got a 1 in my bucky bottle tonight. That's good. I think there's actually a 0 as well. I'm number 20. That's pretty good. Yeah, getting caught up now. I think I've engaged a thing that's super chat. If anyone wants to give me £1, I was thinking if I could get like a few folk to give me £1, it means I got a free bottle of bucky for doing tonight. I don't really know how to set these things up. I do notice there's a dollar thing. I don't know how you send money, but if someone could send me £1 or something, that'd be awesome just to see if it works. I'm not demanding money from anyone like that. Though, kind of feel a bit weird asking. Didn't mean it to look like the question you hadn't answered. Right, cool. I don't know, get cut up. Hey, Craig, £1. Thanks. It does work. Awesome. Rocking. Cheers. You can now ask me a question and I'll definitely answer you. I think I might have already answered it. I was talking about that Hondo. Yes, I thought that Hondo was fantastic. I want to say it's got an 80 in it. Is that an 880? Oh, a £5. Oh, that's me. I've got my bucky. Thanks. Hellbound. Amazing. Wow. Digital busking. That's much more than £1, and you've bought my bucky, basically. Thanks so much. I'm honoured. You could have asked a question in that, and I would have given it top priority, seeing as I'm talking about the Hondo that Craig's just bought. Yes, I really like that, and there is one of the reasons I didn't like it to start with was, like, see when you get what looks like it's going to be a neck through, you know, it's got the maple and walnut strips in the middle, and then you look in the back and it's a bolt neck, and I think it's a bolt neck. But if it's a set neck, you kind of think they've cheated a little bit. And you go, oh, it kind of looks like a through neck from the front, but you look in the back, it's just a bolt. There is some thinking of, well, you've got maple strips running through the centre of the body, right? And you're bolting a maple neck to it. So that's probably a better contact. So it's probably better than sticking it straight onto a mahogany body. Do you know what I mean? Hey, Jez. Oh, I'm feeling guilty now. But fantastic. That's me get bucky for next week and everything. £1. Yeah. Now you're just trying to embarrass me. It's quite funny. Yeah. All right, and to go on to that question, what was it? The ones I think they look amazing, but they're really uncomfortable. What about the BC Rich Mockingbird? I think they look stunning, and there's a bit on the top that kind of looks like an alien's head, like this, and it just sticks into your chest. Actually, the worst shaped bass I ever had. I had an Ibanez. This is 20 years ago. I bought an Ibanez Rickenbacker 4001 copy. There was something wrong with it. I think now if I had, now they're hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of pounds, like a lot, because the one I had obviously wasn't set up. I didn't know how to set it up. But when you were playing it, it had a big bit that came up like this, and it really was. Like, if you imagine someone getting their knuckle like that, right, and just sticking it into the front of your rib cage, and the entire gig doing that is what I found with the Rickenbacker bass. So that might not be all Rickenbacker basses, but the Ibanez one I had, and it really was like somebody just getting like a thing and just sticking it in your chest, like physically having a big bruise on my rib cage from playing it. And since then, I've never even thought about buying another Rickenbacker bass because of that one. It wasn't a Rickenbacker; it was an Ibanez copy. But very good. I'm getting a wee bit behind now. we're talking about what else is there? Other someone said there Flying V. Flying V moth codes. My girlfriend, she's got my decimator, which is, I think, it's the guitar in the world with the most sounds of any guitar ever made. I think, because I did my 105 sound strat a couple of weeks ago and sold it, the pink one, and 105 is quite a lot. But Civic's guitar has 10 pickups. You know, it's got like a quad rail, you know, like what a dual rail humbucker is. So it's like, so the humbucker's got like 4 individual pickups. Then there's 2, and then there's 4. So it's got 10 coils, and it's a Flying V. So it's got 10 on-off switches, knocking them all in switch in series. So you can have any one of the 10 coils on, or any 2 of the 10 coils, or any combination of any of the 10 coils on, and it comes out at 3.5 million or 3.8 million sounds. Something pure stupid. It's 10 factorial if you try and work it out. Which is 10 times 9 times 8 times 2, 7 times 6 times 5. And I do feel sorry for her trying to play the guitar, because really, a Flying V, you've got the option. The option is, that's how you play a Flying V. There is a sort of option to kind of balance it on your leg, like a classical guitar. That's it. Any semblance of doing that, it's just not happening. You've got to want to play the Flying V to play a Flying V. And I did. I got one and I thought, this is fantastic. You know, immediately got the spike bit going between my legs and going, yep, I can do this. But they are a bit strange. I have a J&D telly. Someone's told me about J&D. I'm not really sure. Cost me £80 new. Yeah, J&D, I don't know. Did they not make whiskey in Dumbarton? J&D? Was that J&B? I don't know. Yeah, but I think that's what I was saying earlier on about buying guitars from China. It's like, I think your big brands, your Epiphones and your Squires, take a lot of money off the top of it before it even goes out for sale. And if you can, you know, if they're selling, I don't know, like go for the Squire Bullet Mustang. What's it, 120 quid? That guitar comes from the factory for 15, 20 quid. 20 quid to post it. And then, so what we're getting to is 120. So it would be like the shop's buying them for 70, something like that. So normally that's sort of 60, 40, 70, 30 split they pay, or 60, 40. They pay, so you know, and that's that. There's some money in there, but then they've got to play for advertising and all that stuff. Yeah, hold on, Craig. The Hond, since you give me a couple of pounds, that's your second question as well. I've done the same one as this one. I've always been Hondo 2, but this one isn't. Yes, basically what it means is, because my bass is the same, every other version I've seen of my bass has had Hondo 2 in the headstock, but mine's got the Rising Sun H logo. It means it's 1981. That's when they changed over. So you probably find that they stopped making that model in 1981 or 1982. So there's probably not that many after that. But it's basically, it's exactly the same. The 2 thing came from the original Hondos, which I've had a couple of. In fact, no, it was Hondo were rubbish, basically. They were terrible up until sort of 79. And then what they did was they hired 2 Japanese factories to make guitars. One of them made, I think it was Matsumoku, made a sort of double cut Les Paul type thing, a bass version of it. Dava's got one, but it's a 1030 it's called, which is basically like a double cut Les Paul, but it's got the stringers in it, so it looks like a through neck from the front. And there is a Les Paul Junior type thing as well, which you don't see very many of from Matsumoku. And from Tokai, they ordered a Fender lead copy, a P bass, and a Dan Electro Longhorn. So what they did was they'd ordered these guitars from Japan to get the Hondo branding on them, and not like this, but it was like, right, we've ordered 1,000 guitars off you. Can we come and see just to make sure you're making them right? So they went round, they got the tour of the factory. Right, you do that? Oh, that's how you do it. So then basically from 1980 on, Hondo knew how to make guitars because they just copied, you know, just like the basic principles of how you make a guitar, they just copied it off Tokai and Thingy. So after 1980, Hondos are really pretty good, made by Samick, and that's basically the Samick's kind of just, the Hondo brand kind of died away, and then they started making Epiphones and Squires and all these things because they were just getting more money for them. So that's kind of what happened to the Hondo brand. But I mean, if you buy any Hondo from the 80s, probably good, and the higher the number, the better it is. There is one called an H76, which is kind of like their super budget strat, which is, it's all right, but it's got a weird shaped neck pocket. The pickups are a strange shape, so you end up not really being able to upgrade it very much. Whereas if you get like a Fame series or what were the other ones? There's Formula One, Revival. There's a few sort of series of Hondos that were fantastic, and those Les Pauls that you've got, I really truly rated as good as any Epiphone. I played a trick on my pal who gave me that. He got it, and the volume control didn't work. I can't remember whether it 2 volume controls or not, or the tone. One of the knobs is like you turned it, and the knob came off with the shaft. I was like, do you want any fancy wiring? And he's like, no, I don't want any fancy wiring. Just replace the tone pot. So I replaced the tone pot with the push pull pot with a phase reverse on it. So I was like, so I gave it to him. He was like, up here playing it, and then so he had it for like, I think it was a week or something like that. And then up came my video, and in my video I talk about putting in the face pop. It's like, which is a wee bit naughty of me, but I mean, if you've been really upset about it, you can just ignore a push pull pot. Yeah, hey Craig, I haven't seen you in ages. It's like this COVID thing's made us all hermits. I find traditional tellies without the belly cut a bit comfortable with City. I know what you mean. Hold on, I'm getting down here. Part of the fun of the Telecaster is the fact that it's a plank of wood, though. That's one of the things that makes it a telly. I didn't bother with the belly cut on that. I was going to say that's my Shocking Bird. It's not. It's similar, though. That's actually a 6-string bass. Yeah, but that's part of the thing with a telly. Same with this bit here, where it kind of digs into your arm, because obviously on this one it's like a Strat or a P bass where it's carved because that's where your arm sits. When it's square, it is a bit. But that's part of what makes it a telly. If you wanted a guitar that was just super ergonomic, you might not end up with the prettiest thing. So I mean, I've got like something like this. Is incredible. This is like, yeah, Sodom. Something like this. It's kind of like curved, and it's like an oversucked sweetie. This is an incredibly comfy guitar, but you kind of know that. But I don't know. It kind of looks orange in the video there. It's not. It's Pink Panther pink. I don't know where do you start drawing the line. Also, I suppose the point with you get like Strats that have binding on them, and as soon as you get binding, you've immediately got a hard edge, because that's where the binding sits. Very good. But I actually had an amazing. David Hill bought the telly I got in China. It was the second cheapest telly I could find, and it had like a wee contour on the bottom of the neck pocket. So instead of being that shape, it was kind of, just a wee bit curved and then a wee bit rounded, and it had a belly cut, and it had fancy binding, and you didn't notice it when you were playing it. It was just doesn't do anything. But then when you went to a normal telly, suddenly it was like, oh, it's a bit jaggy, and oh, it's a little bit diggy. So you don't notice it when you get it, but you notice it when you've been playing one and you go back to a not contoured one. Pawn shop tea. Oh, sorry, if I missed someone, who might read this and answer it later. Yeah, I'd have to look for Vin Zan Eden. I might have missed them. Whatever it was you just asked, Vin Zan, asked again, and I'm getting down. We're trying to work my way down to the bottom a little bit. Trying to catch up. Pawn shop. Get the spikes liked. Yeah, thanks very much. Brilliant. I'll try and catch up again. Hellbound 2 humbuckers is enough for me. Yeah, see, I like 2 humbuckers as well, but I also like a coil split on that. I don't need anything. Well, it's not there anymore. The Blade Runner, which is on the wall. I've been trying to rotate these guitars around a bit so you see different ones. And that's my boring corner with the SG and the Strat. I like three-way switch, volume and a tone, and one of the tone or the volume to have a coil split on it, which gives you single coil sounds. That's what I do to my own guitars. All the crazy ones I've actually just done a Buckfest caster here. I think he's actually on tonight. I mentioned it. This is the latest one. So it's got two humbuckers. It's got a coil choice switch in it. So if you're in the middle, it's two humbuckers. If you're down, it's the outer coils. And if you're up, it's the inner coils. And it's got a phase switch, a three-way switch. Kind of like that. The reason I'm not playing it is because the paint's not 100% dry yet. I had a bit of a disaster with a paint. I posted one a few months ago and sent it to a guy in the Borders. And he got it. He's like, what happened to it? And I was like, he showed me pictures. And basically, it looked like it'd been attacked by a tiger because the paint, although it says 2 hours to dry on it, that's a lie. Maybe it's 2 hours in the desert. But here it's like, give it a few days so it's not sticky. Electric Soup P-Bass. You build it, I buy it. What's Electric Soup? You're not thinking of Dragon Soup, are you? Justy, Annie and Brooks didn't know that. J&D brothers, Jack and Danny. 3 brothers. Jack has a factory, Danny has a factory. The other number, okay. It cost McDonald's to make 9p to make a Big Mac. They sell it for £2. I don't know what. I don't think a Big Mac costs £2. I think a Big Mac's like £4, to be honest. I remember it being £2 years ago, but I don't go there because it's so expensive. The only things I ever buy at McDonald's when I have to, when I'm basically going to die, is I just buy the pound cheeseburgers or the chicken. £2 cheeseburgers and a pound chicken burger. But when you start getting into the Big Macs, they just suddenly become ridiculously expensive. I was out in one of the Trade Tuesday things. I went to Burger King because I thought I've not had a Whopper since I was at uni. I'll buy a Whopper, and the Whopper on its own turned out to be, I think it was like almost £6 for a Whopper, and it was crap. It was like £6, really? So I'm never going back to Burger King again. Sorry, Burger King. You can have your sponsorship money back. If I can bass, I can just put it through my Marshall, and daughter can use Blackstar, and the bass won't harm the Marshall as long as it's not turned up too much. Pretty much, aye. Obviously, if you're talking about doing a gig, if you've got the Marshall in any small combo amp turned up at full whack and you're absolutely thumping a bass through it, maybe even doing sort of popping and slapping, it could do damage. But honestly, see the price of bass amps just now, they're so cheap to get like I paid £30 for that. £30 for a 150 watt Marshall bass amp. And it's like, okay, it's massive. But I've got one even in the hall that I got for free. I shouldn't say that because I should really try and sell it, but it's like a 60 watt Laney with a 12-inch speaker on it, and it's great. I did have to do some soldering in it. I bought it for free. I got it for free because it was broken. But you can pick up like a sort of 30 to 50 watt bass amp for 20 or 30 quid all the time. Just keep looking and just get something local, because it's not the sort of thing you can post. So there's no point in putting it on eBay. So really, if you look up Facebook Marketplace, you will find 20. The wee Marshall MB20 or MB30 is really good. There's also, I had one that was a Stag. So I think it was a 60 watt that used to sit there before, replaced with that. And that was brilliant. Fantastic. It's just that you get to the point where people are so used to now. It's the same with stereo systems. People are so used to just using their phone. It's like, oh, I don't want something big. Whereas if you're willing to, maybe not, that's pretty big. But, like what, a 12-inch speakery type thing, people are like, I don't want that. It's old fashioned, and it's like, pick up a bass amp really cheap. I would probably go along that lines, because although a guitar amp will work, I thought we find it won't sound as good as a bass amp. I used to play bass through my Sovtech just in the house, and I think it's the best sounding guitar amp in the world, and through bass, like with a couple of 12-inch speakers, whatever, it was acceptable, but it didn't sound as good as the wee 20 watt Stag I had, because it's actually a bass amp. And then I ended up getting a 60 watt Stag for a 20 quid. And I just sold the 20 watt for 20 quid. It's like great fun. And then I sold the Stag for 20 quid in Pall Mall. Hey, so it's like basically I ended up just breaking even the whole way. But yes, you can play through all right as long as you're playing at low volume. It doesn't sound as good as a real bass amp. A real bass amp really does have an awful lot more low end. I'm like a wee bit behind again. Someone was talking about Hondo was Japanese. Hondo 2 was when they went to Korea. No, Hondo was Korean. Hondo 2 was when they went to Japan for a couple of years, and then they stayed Hondo 2 up until they stopped. They only made, as I said, those 2 runs, the Tokais and the Matsumokus, which were less double cut, Les Poly things, and a Fender lead and something else, like a couple of models up till 1981, and they were Hondo 2. But then there was lots of Les Pauls. The ones that you see that get, they're always advertised as having DiMarzio pickups, because there is a poster that people have seen that says the new Hondo 2, it's got DiMarzio pickups. Yes, it does, but it's actually whatever the model number is has to have a D at the end for Hondo pickup, for having the DiMarzio pickups. So most of them, like 90%, don't have DiMarzios. The ones that are like an H800D are the DiMarzio ones, or the H800 has got DiMarzio copies in it. Yeah, there's actually quite a good page that came up a couple of years ago after I was into Hondo, where they kind of tell you all about all the different Hondo. The Hondo 2 and Hondo are basically, they're kind of interchangeable. They did go back to just being Hondo in 81 though, but I think at the time they were still making Hondo 2. What advice do you have for long-suffering wives and girlfriends and barely functioning guitar addicts? Just tell them that you can be into golf. That's it. Just say, oh, I think I might take up golf. And they'll go, right. Because golf means you're out the house hundreds. It's costing you thousands of pounds a year for your golf club membership. You have to act like a knob, wear Pringle, and golf clubs are much more expensive than guitars. And all the guitars you've got, you say, well, I paid £100 for it. And it's like, you can, if you're buying second hand, you can, if you kind of have a little, if it's your hobby, basically, you can easily spend £100 or £150 on a guitar, like your Yamahas and Squires and stuff like that, and it's still worth that if you sell it, because every guitar's obviously got their value point, especially if it's ones people know. Like a Squire Affinity Strat's worth, in relatively good condition, between 100 and 150 or something like that, say. And then if you always buy them at 100, then you could sell them maybe for 150 if you get the right person, but you're going to get 120, no bother. Just tell them that. Say it's a better investment than having money in the bank. I don't know if that's true, but I mean, live behind it and believe it's true. Right. The Yamaha, I know I'm a wee bit behind. I'm going to catch up. The Yamaha guitars are surprisingly decent. The one I played decent. All Yamaha guitars are brilliant. Really. Okay, you can say that the one, I've had a few of them, the ERG 121, which is the cheapest one, the one you get in Argos. I don't know how much they are now. I think they were like 120 quid. You got a wee amp on them at one point. You really can't fault it. If someone said, oh, I paid 500 quid for it, well, okay, it's not a £500 guitar, but for like 100 and something, and you can pick them up second hand for sort of this 60, 80, 100 type mark all the time. And it's a bit boring looking. An HSH, sort of like an Ibanez RG type, somewhere between an Ibanez RG and a Strat shape. They're brilliant. And every Yamaha, everything, boat engines, stereos, lawnmowers, Yamaha make them, and everything they do is always amazing for the price level, but they're never really that expensive. Yamaha always good. Taiwan, I think. Pontiac, yes, but not always. Japan as well, and China now. The difference, I don't know how true this is now, but at one, I'm going to say up until recently anyway, but maybe still now, a Yamaha don't get their stuff made in any other factory. So a Yamaha Japan guitar is made in the Yamaha factory, not the Matsumoku, or it's made in the Yamaha factory. In Taiwan, a Yamaha guitar is made in the Yamaha factory. And if you go to Korea, it's made in the Yamaha Korean factory, or the factory, the Yamaha factory in Indonesia. So it's always their own stuff. And I think it's that whole, Japanese people are sort of a wee bit like Klingons when they're into honor and all that. That in it, in a good way for us. Square P-Bass Eldorado. I'm not sure what a Squire P-Bass Eldorado is. All right, you're talking to me. Yeah, get an Eldorado bass. I need to just find a blue one, really. I don't have to buy blue paint. The problem is every time I get basses, I end up liking them. Money in the Bank takes up less space, yeah, but you want to get some, you can have it, and it's like, let's not, like, you buy a guitar like this, and it's like, it's art. That is, if that's not pop art, what is? You know, look at that paint job. It's art. It's pop art. It's of cultural significance. You can enjoy looking at it. That's how it works. I think, in saying that, I don't have a wife. My girlfriend's mad in guitars as well. So, price point of a guitar, about a third more than cash converters will buy it for, and about a third less than what they sell it for. Yeah, sort of. I know what you mean. My original favourite cash converters in town in Glasgow, opposite Guitar, closed down about 10 years ago, and it's back open again. And I went in there, and you can go into Guitar. I don't want to be dissing any guitar shops. You go into Guitar, and all the guitars are fiendishly expensive. You go into the cash converters opposite, and they actually had a Yamaha Pacifica. Was it a Pacifica? For £69. How? If you're like that, I mean, okay, I didn't actually have a shot of it. Maybe need a bit of a setup and a bit of a cleaning stuff. But £69 for a Yamaha Pacifica, really? That's a pure awesome guitar. Absolutely awesome. You can't say Klingons, Kapla. Well, maybe, yeah. Enjoy your curry, Hellbound. I haven't had a curry. I've actually had a curry down in Cafe Chutney. A wee bit of a plug for Cafe Chutney in Colville when I was down seeing my pal Wayne. They don't have an alcohol license, so we could drink. And we drank heavily while we were having this curry. And I got a Naga chili and he's up here, how hot do you want it? And I said, I'll be disappointed if I can walk home. And it was hot. It was hot, and I was really struggling with it. And my pal Martin, who was basically asleep after the pakora at the start. He had his pakora and he fell asleep, and then he drank the chili sauce, and then he just managed to wolf it down. And I was sitting there, pure struggling and sweating. It was great fun. Oh, nobody has ever said Yamaha shite, so hence the question mark. Reason my next purchase is a 112 or Pepe's electric soup. Yeah, the 112 is the cheapest one. I think the problem with Yamaha is there are other Pacificas, but see the more expensive Pacificas, because people think of the 112, you can probably get the 312. So the 112 is like £100 and something pound. The 300 series is like £300 and something pound. The 500 series is like £500 and something pound. Very roughly, how Yamahas work, and you can probably pick up for not much more than the cheap one, the 300 one. You might get one in a not such pretty color. Oh, two strings not working. Do you know what I mean? That or a string missing, hence £150 sort of thing. Might be worthwhile looking into that. Slapping stuff. Yes, I was playing bass for there are bass players on here. I know they're looked down on by a lot of people. I'm actually really enjoying the band I'm in just now, Cranking House, when I'm playing guitar. Just absolutely powering the bass player Nick constantly. Just because it's the first time I've ever really played guitar in a band, and I've always been the subject of the bass player jokes, even though the bass player jokes are very funny. His response was, "I just slag off Ali playing the bins," and it's like, "You're touche." It's like, rather than I'll divert the slaggings to the drummer sitting there playing the bins, not real musicians, rocking. So I'm going to do that. Yeah, so this is actually, sorry, slapping if I'm going to talk about this a little bit, but it's probably all different people that are in now anyway. This is actually a stock guitar, 1987, made in Japan, spiky headstock, Aria Diamond series, but it's the only bass I've ever seen in the Diamond series also say rock device, which I don't think it really the camera will do it. It says rock device below when it says Diamond series, and it's like, one, it says rock device on it. Two, I didn't do this to the pickups. That's what it came like. It's like two of them. There's no way of splitting them. I was as soon as I saw it, the pots on these were awful. They were plastic. and I think it's probably the same from all of them. The actual pot casing was plastic, so the three of them were absolutely gubbed. This one is actually a blend pot, so it's notched in the middle. It's metal, but I had to replace these three because they were absolutely gubbed. And I was thinking, oh, I'm going to coil split this so that you can get these two on their own, yeah. But they're not. Basically, the way it's wired is this one into this one, into this one, into this one. So I do have to do a little bit of messing about. So if you're on the full bass, that's these 4 pickups basically. If you go to the other one, this is the jazz bass pickup. So you have to mix between them really. No, I really do. I do really like this bass. It plays, as I said earlier on, it's kind of like a super strat. So it's like pure turbo fast. Got a white painted neck. I really like it. Not very many of them kicking about, although somebody did tell me in one of my videos, or was it somebody actually? I think it was somebody I actually met. There was one of these in a guitar shop at Glasgow. It's not Glasgow Cross. Where's the high street? Like where guitar? Not there used to be a guitar shop there, and there was one of these for sale for $299 for 10 years. Apparently, he said he kept seeing it. It wasn't this one because it was red, apparently, or was it blue? I can't remember. It wasn't this one anyway. It was just there, and the whole time he was at uni or college or whatever it was, he would always see this bass, and it always had these mad pickups. It was the only thing I'd ever seen. This was the first time he'd ever seen anything like it. Bizarre. It's not the coiled lead. Coiled leads are good. Don't be joining in on Blacktooth Fox with the slagging off coiled leads. It's the input that's bad. The coiled lead's good. Look, doesn't make a noise. I'm basically using the coiled lead because I've kind of always wanted one that worked, and I've had a few that didn't. I don't know. It's just a 70s thing in it. I just thought it was cool. So there's not really that much excitement you can get from a guitar lead. It's like a guitar lead's just a lead. It's like, how exciting can it ever be? Whereas at least coil it's a little bit excited. Tronpon. It wasn't Tronpon, but I think we're talking about going back 20 years. We're going back to sort of 1980, the late 80s, early 90s was when the guy said that. But I mean, I wasn't actually Tronpon last week. Yeah, last week, the first time I've been in the guitar shops for 2 or 3 years, and I was in Tronpon. It was all right. Tronpon's actually all right. The thing is, if you've got to go in for the right guy, I went in. There's a guy who works during the week, whose dad, who had apparently never got on with, a story here. His dad, who I never got on with, used to run the shop. And if you go back 20 years, there used to be a place called the General Dealer, and round the corner from the General Dealer, there used to be a wee guy who used to sit and watch horse racing all the time in his telly in a wee grotty shop. Apparently, his son when his dad died, even though he'd never talked to him, inherited all the stuff, and that's what's in Tronpon, and he works during the week, and he's pretty cool and likes to talk and stuff, whereas the guy who owns the sort of pawn shop bit where he sells watches and stuff is really gruff, and maybe he just doesn't like people with long hair, but it's one of those folk, you go into the shop and kind of don't want to give any money. No, he's not nasty, he's just a bit, it's like pure, hi, I'm interested in that Stratocaster. It's that kind of attitude, which is a bit putting off. I thought bass was rubbish, but listen to Pink Floyd, Colosseum, Led Zeppelin, Ramble On, even look at AC/DC. Yeah, bass is amazing fun. I played bass for many years, and I was in a band called the Blind Dog, and the keyboard players up here. Oh, what about the bass in Immigrant Song? I played the bass at the time. I'd never heard the bass. Listen to the bass in Immigrant Song, Led Zeppelin. It's pure. It's so obvious I can't unhear it now, but I'd never noticed it. The more you notice when you're playing, the bass. I've seen Sabotage live actually in Verity Castle. That's not happening. Which one is it like? just kind of does that forever, doesn't it? But I mean, that's why bass is so good, because you can play the most simple thing and it's pure amazing. The General Dealer, yeah, going back a bit. I actually genuinely had the Not the 9 o'clock news sketch in the General Dealer one time. I was looking for a record player, like for my hi-fi separate system, and I had a pile of turntables right at the side of the counter. I was like, yeah, I'm interested in buying one of these record players. And the guy went, they're not record players, they're turntables. You need an amplifier for a turntable. And it's like, I was like, really? You're really going to do that? I don't know whether he was taking the piss because he'd seen the Not the 9 o'clock news sketch, but I mean, yeah, it doesn't have any knobs on it or volume. Obviously, I know it's a turntable. I call it a record player because it plays records, but technically, a record player has a built-in amplifier. Remember that? Good fun. Thing from a trim phone. I don't even know what a trim phone is. Actually, I got remember the Aria TA I had last week or a couple of weeks ago? Somebody bought it and it got like an amp with it, an Aria TA, and I set it up and put new strings on it and gave it a good clean and stuff like that. Got it working, and it came with this amp. And I basically told the guy, "You're not getting the colour lead back." He never said anything about it, so I got it. Maybe I reduced the price of my setup a little bit, but that's what it actually says. Because I'm a pure snob as well. It says made in Japan on the socket. I'm not that socket on the other end. It's like, oh, it's Japanese. I've got a Japanese lead. Oh, Japanese lead, Japanese guitar. Yeah. Yeah, record store snobbery is always a fun. I think you get that everywhere when you go into guitar shops as well. A gramophone, yes. Is that pure? How many watts would you like? And it's like pure. Oh, about 300. It's like 3,000. You look up that sketch on Not the 9 o'clock news. They're just. I don't know what the point in it is. A gramophone, yes. It does both. It does all the speeds, 35 and 33 and 45. I was like, what about my 78? What? You didn't say 78. Yeah, just look that up. I miss those days. I was walking past actually thinking about the General Dealer because I parked in the Morrison's car park because I couldn't find anywhere to park in Glasgow. I was in to see my pal and I was well early, like 2 hours early, so I had time to kill. And I went into Record Fair, which was my favourite record shop. I must have bought 1,000 records in Record Fair, and I went in, and the prices are unbelievable now. Like, what? I mean, I've got all the Stones albums, all the Beatles albums, all the AC/DC, all the Led Zeppelin, all the Deep Purple, all originals, all the Sabbath, all the Priest, everything, all original records. And it's like, I never, occasionally, maybe say, I've maybe spent more than, apart from buying a new record, I've maybe spent like 12 quid, like for the Beatles White Album type thing. And then obviously when you got to sort of brand new records, Judas Priest Nostradamus rings a bell actually, being like 30 quid or something because it's a triple album. But I mean, all the AC/DC albums, I remember noticing this probably almost 10 years ago, going in and seeing like AC/DC Highway to Hell for a tenner, and it's like pure, what? A tenner for Highway to Hell? I think now that's a total bargain. Records have really gone up. I don't know. The thing is, records are cool now because the reason I bought records, I'll be totally honest, the reason I bought records is because when I started buying them, we're talking, in fact, for some reason I remember, it's August 94 was the first time I ever bought records because I bought Black Sabbath Sabotage that time. And for some reason I remember that written in there. I used to write on the insides of the sleeves when I bought them. If you're ruining the value of them, obviously. And it was just a case of, everyone would get like at uni and they would be getting like their grant and they would go and spend a couple of £100 on half a dozen CDs. because like Pink Floyd albums were $17.50 on CD, and it's like okay, I mean that's fine, but you had to know which one you were buying. I always remember feeling really sorry for my pal Gavin, who bought he had 30 quid. He was like, I'm going to buy, he bought a Pink Floyd double album. He bought Amagama for £30, and it's like, oh, because Amagama, if you've not heard it, is bad. I paid £3 for it or something. You know, it's fine. Sort of. It's a curiosity thing, but if you're paying £30 for a record, it better be, or a CD, it better be pure all over the place. Same thing happened with The Wall. I remember getting a lift home from the train station with a guy I used to work with in the co-op, and he was talking about The Wall, and he had it on his CD player in the car, and I was like, you're awesome. So I bought The Wall today as well, and I lifted it out, and it was like, you know, the original one the record doesn't say The Wall on it, it's got the inner streets and stuff, and he was like, it had the £3.50 sticker on it. Like, you just paid £3.50 for that pair? Sorry, because it obviously just paid £30 for the double CD, which is better. You know, CDs, like, it wasn't like the big massive thick box and stuff, but the records get inner picture sleeves and folded out bits and all that. And I don't remember listening. I do know The Lost Chord. The Lost Chord was fantastic. It was never really that cheap, but it was a fantastic shop, and you could go in there and just get lost. It was more the CDs and stuff they had, though, because it just had everything. They always had all the Caravan albums and stuff like that. And they were never expensive. No, I'm thinking of Lost in Music. The Lost Chord isn't there anymore. The Lost Chord's the porno shop. And is it? Was it called The Lost Chord? It was kind of at Kelvin Grove Underground Station. I don't remember blogs either. But I remember going into The Lost Chords and been looking through the records up here. Lots of records, great. And then you'd be looking through, and it was like porno mags in the same sort of plastic bags. That's something you don't want to buy secondhand. So it was like half the shop at one point was pornos. Mainly reggae has the best collection. Hard to find 45 things you can't find or buy. See, that's before that. I mean, I honestly was buying records that were not available in CD. And some of the records I remember Neil Young On the Beach being one of those ones that was always like £100 because it never came out in CD, and then it came out in CD and the record went down. I think I paid a £5 for it or something like that. But that was the only place you could hear them. Also, there was no way of listening to it first. Now it's like pure, have you heard the band Camel? I haven't, no. YouTube, Camel, they're quite good. I'll maybe buy one of the records. That wasn't the case then. It was like, we're talking about the 90s. Camel, that's a cool looking album cover. It's £2. I'll buy that. And then, like Camel, amazing. Fantastic. Flight of the Snow Goose and Moon Madness. The album Mirage, brilliant. But I mean, I only bought it because it was purely down to the record cover and it being cheap. Let's be honest, I bought hundreds of rubbish as well. But I mean, I'm a big Cat Stevens fan, and the reason I bought Cat Stevens' Greatest Hits was because it was the first record I'd ever seen for 20 or for 50 pence. I think it was 25 pence because the cheapest you ever got was 50. And I went to this new shop called Missing, which I'd never seen before, and they had Cat Stevens' Greatest Hits for 25 pence. I was like, 25p for a record? Really? And the reason I bought it was because in Shooting Stars, which is Vic and Bob Mortimer, had a TV show, and it was like a sort of a comedy game show, the first of the sort of not a real game show thing, so like a panel show, and it was like pure, so you've got to guess what Vic's got in below the desk, and they're all up here, an orange, a football, all these different things. It's like, no, it's a Cat Stevens' Greatest Hits. And then the following week, I saw that Cat Stevens' Greatest Hits and bought it. It's like, oh, no way, £50, really? Wow, I'm pure humbled. You've actually chosen the same almost exact color as my t-shirt. Just wanted to say thanks. That's you, Craig, isn't it? Thanks, man. Wow. I'm pure super humbled. Wow, that's more than I make in 2 months on YouTube. Ridiculous. Angie gave me £2 earlier on, which was already awesome. Fantastic. And also for great help in getting the other Hondo I bought when I couldn't get it working. Even though I realised it was simple, I honestly don't remember what Hondo it was you bought. But I mean, Hondo are good. I'm not knocking them. It was Hondo that got me into realizing that you didn't have to buy the well-known guitars. In that, I was talking earlier on about the cash converters or cash generator shop that was opposite Guitar. In there, I saw a Telecaster, and it had a headstock like this, a blonde bound top telly, headstock like this, and it had like a leopard skin scratch plate on it. And it was, I think it was 30 quid, because I remember telling the guy in the shop, if it had been 20 quid, I would have bought it. If it had been 40 quid, I would have walked away, but it's 30, you've priced it really well. And I bought that guitar, and I brought it home, and I put new strings on it, and I glued the nut in because the nut was hanging off. And it was like, this is as good as any guitar I've ever played. And then that suddenly you start going, all right. But I mean, talking about it being incredibly high quality guitar. Basically, it was like a top of the range Samick, so the equivalent of the top of the range Epiphone Les Paul, which at the time were, I don't know, 450 quid, something like that. Basically, it was totally, if anything, better than that. And I'd pick it up for 40 quid, and you start realizing that buying things that are unfashionable looking, as in Telecaster pointy head, not what you want, but you could just pick up the most amazing things. But stick with the Hondos. I've actually got a bit. I did a video. I went mad for Hondo before I got seduced by the Japanese stuff. And I think I had maybe 5 or 6 in one video. We're going back a long time to get that video. But I want to say it's a 1080. Actually, no, 1080 is the one Dava's got, the double cut. I think it's an 8 something, the Les Paul you're looking at. But when that Les Paul is, when I say it's the equivalent of the top of the range Epiphone Les Paul, it's made by the same people and probably better. Amazing guitars. So Craig, I'll do anything for 50 quid. I don't know. What guitar do you want me to play? I should really dig out my Hondo. I just know for a fact that the strings on my Hondo bass are these strings, right? I honestly think are from 1987, but they're not really rusty. Whereas the ones on my Hondo bass they're like the sort of one where you go, no, I refuse to actually play that, because if you slid between 2 notes, it would just be like a saw blade on your finger. Hey, Pontiac, right? Well, let's get back to. I'm still blown away by Craig's supreme generosity. I mean, honestly, I'll buy a guitar for. Oh, I will. Just I'll see what I can. Maybe that's Craig Tuesday. I'll see what I can get with a 50 pound. Yeah, because the Trade Tuesday thing kind of didn't work. It worked unbelievably well for the first series. Didn't work at all because I immediately just used I think it was 2 months of YouTube thing to get above the 60 quid minimum. So I ended up with £61 or something like that, and I bought. It was more than that. It was 25 and 45. What does that make? 60, 70. I ended up with a £70 check, and I just bought 2 guitars I wanted. So the second time of Trade Tuesday, I'd actually used that £70 to do something else with it. Oh, I'm not mad on the Hondo. It was about the soldering the iron gear pickups in. I kept ballsing it up, but you went through the soldering stuff. Did I? All right. Sorry, you get like a private video if you have any problems with it. It's, I suppose, if you look at it that way, if you take it to a shop to get them to fit it, it'd be different. Soldering, I really reckon that what you want to do is, I know nobody wants to do this, but see if you just sat with like a pot out in the open, sort of thing, like a broken pot or any pot, and just practiced how long you have to actually hold the soldering iron onto the thing, mate, and how to use, like once you know how long to hold it on and you get to stick on, take it off, do it again, do that 10 times. And that's it. So don't be regretting it. You know what I mean? I'll be forever in your debt. That's awesome. I'll make you a guitar. Craig Tuesday's going to happen. I'll see what I can get. For £52 is my limit. I'll see if I can get a guitar that I'll eventually end up swapping up until I get. The problem with the Trade Tuesday thing is, though, it's the getting out of my comfort zone quite easily. Because as soon as a guitar starts costing £500 or £600, I'm like pure. It's kind of, for me, I just don't think you can. It's justified in spending more than that. I know. I mean, I've worked on plenty of guitars that are worth an awful lot more than that. But I buy the best guitars I can, and you know, when you start looking at the the sort of Japanesey sort of ones, he balls up the grounds. The grounds is not that difficult. I think there's an element of voodoo in guitar wiring where people don't want you to know how to do it, because I remember seeing this before about how you set up, how you do your truss rods. I mean, this is going back a few years, I suppose. So, and it was folk in up here. Yes, hi, it's John from W Music in California. Just going to show you how to do a truss rod. First, you take the bass and you put it onto the jig, and then and it was like he'd used about $2,000 worth of equipment to set the truss rod up, because what he was actually trying to do was, it's quite difficult. Why don't you just send it to me and I'll do it for you, type thing? And it's like, yeah, I can kind of see that, but I'm a right cheap bastard. I like to try and do things without using any of the proper equipment, and especially see like the nut files. It's like, oh, just buy them from StewMac, and it's like, I probably do enough guitar work to warrant having the proper StewMac files, but it's like £60 for a set of nut files, and I was using these things, which it can be done. See the wee red ones you get in a packet from Halfords or whatever. That's really, it's about 40 times harder than using the proper ones. But Paul Dava showed me how to get this one, which is now rusty. So it's just a Chinese one. It wasn't expensive. It was like £7 or something. This thing will go through your nut. If you just went, that's you right through the nut, and you've sawed it off basically. So it's a completely different way of working, but it can be done with that, and that's like a £7 thing, which is in the region of, I've got 1 or 2 guitars. Is it worthwhile doing these things? Yeah. Willing to wear guitars in a mankini? That's it was only £50. It's £150 I'll do it in a mankini. Oh shit, what have I said? I bought my guitars. Hey Rubens, you bought more guitars in the last year watching me than I bought in 20 years I've played guitar. Granted, I was 5 when I started, but still you've been in there. Well, yes. It's the thing. I mean, I do know people that buy guitars, like the same amount of guitars. I have to be totally honest, I have stopped buying guitars for myself. Really, sort of, kind of. I did, on my long-term strategy, if you go back a couple of years, my long-term, I still needed an A20, which I got off my pal Wayne, and I got the Aria ZZ, which went with my favourite bass. I honestly think that just now, there's not anything obvious that I want. I've got too many. I do. I mean, the thing is that I'm digging out guitars like this that I've not played in a year. It's just been it's actually just been sitting in the loft, and it's like, it wasn't expensive, but it's so much more interesting than if you go into guitar to try and get something as mad as this. If they have, or I keep slagging off guitar, a modern guitar shop, try and get something as mad as this, and they probably do have something this mad, but it'll be a few grand. It won't be honestly, I don't know what I paid for it, but I mean, I used to have £100 target, whereas if I could buy a guitar and get it working for £100, it didn't really matter what it was. It was all right if it was a bit silly. You know what I mean? Some of the early ones, things like that. You know, if I can make that myself, it didn't cost £100. It cost about £50. But that £100 used to be if I can buy the parts that are missing from it and fix it and make it work and get a guitar that I like for £100, rocking. To be honest, I really don't go much above that. An enabler, yeah, a pusher, a junkie, or I'm a guitar pusher. Yeah. It's the thing, I don't know, it's like, I don't think people understand that it's possible to get a really good guitar for, if you didn't have any money at all, and you're talking about, £50, you can, it's not that difficult to get a guitar for. I'd say you've got a budget in total of £100 to get a guitar that's really good, a lead, new strings for your guitar, and a decent amp that if you gave it to Hendrix, Clapton, whoever your favourite guitarists are going to be able to absolutely rock it. You know, it's not in any way unplayable. Very good question. Pontiac, any experience with Ibanez Geo? Yes. They're good. When I was doing guitar lessons, we're probably talking nearly 20 years ago, I remember one of the wee guys I was teaching, sounds pervy, it wasn't, but see when you're teaching like sort of 12-year-olds, this sounds even more pervy. It's amazing how quickly they pick stuff up because you can just say to them, "Oh, just play this, it's easy," and they totally just believe me, and then they could play it. Whereas if you try and teach somebody who's in their 20s, 30s or whatever, you go, "Oh, just play this, it's easy." That's not easy. Whereas kids just do what you tell them to do, and then I only did it for like 6 months, but all the folk I was teaching guitar, like maybe 4 or 5 different sort of 12, 14-year-olds or whatever, every one of them could play lead guitar like a boss after a few months because they just believed me when I said, no, you don't want to do that. That's hard. All right, okay. You know what I mean? With the, like, oh, I want to play this Steve Vai bit. And it's like, well, anything else? It's like, oh, Nirvana, here we go. Bum, 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 bum. You can play the solo to that. It's easy. And they would just, because I told them it was easy, they would believe me and play it easy. I've completely forgotten what it was I was going for. But yeah, one of them bought an Ibanez Geo, and it was the cheapest one, and I couldn't believe how good it was. Ibanez Geo, I've actually got an Ibanez Geo. My 5-string bass is an Ibanez Geo. They only made it for 2 years. And I think it was 98, 99. And in 98, it's an Ibanez GT75 or GR75 or something like that. And in 99 is when they brought out the Geo range. So it's the same exactly guitar that says Ibanez Geo instead of saying Ibanez on it, GT79 or whatever it was. And it had a not finished, like an unfinished headstock, which I always thought looked a bit cheap, kind of rather it was shiny. So I glossed the headstock and I scraped off the bit that said Geo before I glossed the headstock. Yeah, but I mean, it's stunning. Had bad pickups in it, but the wrong pickups in it, but it was a good guitar. Hey Taylor, what brand names of guitar do you avoid like I played? There's a few that I'm getting on. Swift, Westwood, Erin. There's lots of small makes that are basically those exact guitars where it's like the cheapest way you can possibly make something that looks like a guitar in a photo. Just unbearable. And I'm not going as low as, like, see, Acoustic Solutions, Behringer. They're not brilliant. You're not going to look at it and go, oh, it's just like a real fit. But you can adjust that to be a playable guitar. And as I said, give it to somebody who can play the guitar with a wee 10-watt amp, and they're going to go, oh, yeah, and they're going to be able to play it. It's not as nice as their Fender USA. Of course, it's not as nice, but they can play it and make it sound pretty good, especially if you're playing through, like a wee 10-watt amp or a wee, something like that. It's like a modeling amp or something. That's totally, you're not even really going to be able to tell the difference if you're just listening to it, especially if you're comparing it in a mix. Great fun. Hey Daniel, how are you getting on with the PV? The PV meaning the PV that's on the floor, kind of relegated to the floor. I've been using it in the studio and I love it. But I'm kind of a specific guitar player. It's like I don't really understand knobs and switches and all that stuff. I don't like having too much adjustability. I just get lost. That's only got 3 knobs and it sounds good when you've just got it turned up. I can handle a gain and a volume and a tone. That's, yeah. Oh yeah, as long as it sounds good to start with. I've found myself, I know you've obviously seen the videos where I'm talking about my pal Scott, and he understands how EQ works. He can listen to it, and his mad brain is like, because he's a sound engineer, his mad brain goes, 2K up a wee bit and 8K down a wee bit. I kind of can't bend my head around that at all. But I've kind of gone back to my wee Laney. The Laney does sound better than the Thingy. Different. It sounds more expensive because it costs 5 times as much or something, but it's got lots of knobs that I never use on it, though. It's got like the full EQ. It's got an overall tone control, which is amazing. Like, see, like as well as having like the bass, mid, and treble, and a reverb, and a gain, and a volume, it's also got a tone at the end, which is really rather cool. Pontiac, I've been as Geos. There's a wee bit of a stigma coming about with the Geos because they never used to make them. Although, if you go, as I said, 98 or 99 was when the Geos came out. If you go like the year before that or the 5 years before that, they still made those guitars in the same factory. They were full called Ibanez. They never had a cheaper range. Ibanez are all right. Craig Hughes, seems you gave me so much money and I've still got like a register thing. I can't give up this stream until that's gone because you give me so much money. They must be trying to get away. What are we talking about? Oh, what was? I don't know if I should talk about Craig. Was shocked to quote that Jimi Hendrix is appearing off Spotify because nobody's listening to his stuff. Really? I find that hard to believe. Really? Wow. I mean, Hendrix. I'll be honest. The first time I heard Purple Haze, absolutely blew my mind, and I was sick out my pal's skylight window when it was on. But it really was just like an entire world for me. Just an and it was like, oh, what the? I was like, what is that? My pal's like, it's Hendrix. I couldn't believe it. I was like, up here, have other people heard this? What the? Because at the time it was like I'd heard, like there was a time, I don't know, it turned early 90s, so Nirvana was about, and I don't know, Oasis weren't about yet, but it was that kind of pop music and stuff, and I was like, what the? It's absolutely blew my mind, and I think it was actually before I heard, he had also had a tape that had a cassette that had a Whole Lot of Love, Robert Bert, Whole Lot of Love, Led Zeppelin 2 on one side, and Deep Purple, the Anthology, the record version on the other, and both of those blew my mind. And the thing was, at the time, all my pals were like, oh, what did they hear? It was like Primal Scream and the Stone Roses, and it was like, have you heard this Deep Purple album? It was like, absolutely. Yeah. So I can't believe nobody likes Hendrix. Hendrix has... He was only about for a couple of years, but I mean, he was the genius. I did watch a video actually just by random the other night. It was like live in Sweden or something where it was with the Experience, and it was pretty much all over the place. But I mean, kind of like the whole thing of it is that he didn't have back in this. It must have been the 60s because he died in 70, so it must have been the Experience. It must have been 68 or 69, and he's kind of coming out. He's coyly leading his 2 Marshall stacks, and he's like tuning his guitar, and he's like getting notes off no reg, and he's kind of bum bum. But it's like. It's a pure rabble for the first 5 minutes while they're sort of tuning up, and then they play a song, and even during it, they're all kind of really pretty. I can't believe people aren't listening to Hendrix. Hendrix will live forever. It's like Mr. White. Geos are very cheap over here. It's to be honest, I think it's snobbery. There will be an element of my first 7-string was a Geo, and it did need a little bit of fretwork, but everything on it is not rubbish. The Geos are not rubbish. You might need to do a little bit of finishing because obviously they've cheated it. They've did a bit. So see if you can do a wee bit of fret, work out how to get the. You can just do it with sandpaper. Actually, my pal Jerry told me you can do it with like have you ever seen this sort of sanding block that's kind of like a sponge with sandpaper on it? Apparently, if you've got one of them, you can just do that up and down the edge of the fingerboard, and it will totally, which I believe him, it sounds like it will work, will take away the sharp fret edges. And the whole thing about, just that's kind of the difference between that and an actual Ibanez. They spend more time on it because the actual building of the guitar is kind of the same. I talked to Scott about this the other week, and he was saying like the difference between apart from the hardware, which is more expensive on an American Strat compared to a Mexican one, better tuners. Okay, they feel a little bit better. It's still tune the guitar. You're still buying a Mexican standard. The tuners are fine. Pickups, okay, maybe you make a couple of % better, slightly harder bridge in that, but it's the real difference is how much time they spent sorting the frets out to make them all work. I would definitely, especially if you're mad at, well, it's a funny one. If you're mad into modern guitars, it kind of doesn't matter. I mean, I'm selling a Saxon Les Paul on a Facebook Marketplace. No one's buying it because you can get one of those cheap Japanese Les Pauls for £100 all the time. Yes, you can. How well does it play? Because I've done the work to it. I sorted out the high frets. I did the fret ends. All the hardware's been replaced. The crap stuff's been put on with good stuff. It's got a roller bridge. It's intoned, which that guitar from the factory until 70s until this year has never, ever, ever been in tune because the bridge is in the wrong place. I put on a roller bridge that had like long slots on it so I could actually slide the whole bridge back about 5 mils so it could actually be intoned. Yeah, okay, so but it doesn't make it worth any more money just because it works. It's a bizarre one. Catch up. Ibanez Iron with the Floyd type thing. Yeah, okay. I've seen the iron label. It's called. I don't know. I mean, actually, I'm going to swap over from this. The whole Floyd Rose thing. See, once you get it working properly, it's not going to be in tune now because I've just battered it off the light fitting. But there's a chance it'll be still in tune. See, when you get a Floyd Rose and you set it up properly, or there might be an element of if you get like a pro or somebody somebody you trust to set it up, you've suddenly got confidence in it. You can play a Floyd Rose properly. And that's really me earlier on being surprised by this because I figured before the live stream I'm going to tune this. And I always remember it being the first Floyd Rose that ever worked properly for me. There's still a little element of me that's kind of a little bit surprised it's still in tune when I play chords, but the iron label will be amazing. Cutting the strings is pish. It's pish. Incidentally, actually, see in this one, it's got wee flaps. So you put the ball in from the back, right? Like you do in a Strat. And these wee flaps with an Allen key in the front clamp it down so you don't have to cut the ball ends off. But for some reason, that idea didn't catch on, and people just want the one where you have to cut the ends off. I don't understand. Still can't believe this isn't tuning. The strings on this are like 5 years old. The RLX or so. Yeah. Dude, Mac Hendricks disappears. Probably a stance, but well, there's probably some sort of. Hey, Alfredo. What did you say? Cheers. I thought you said queers, and it's like that's a really old offensive term. First heard Purple Haze, I thought it was mentally ill. Well, 5 or 6 years. I was maybe 12 or something, and it was maybe round about the time I first ever got a smoke of a doobie, and it was like that's why I was out the window puking, basically. But it really was pure. You know what I mean, head spinning, and it was mental. Can you play something? I can play something badly. Let's see if I can find a stratty type sound here. Oh, it'd be the neck position one, wouldn't it? What am I doing not using a fuzzbone? Purple haze all around. I know if I'm coming up or down. And I'm happy for everything. Purple haze, look out, put a star on me. Yeah, so Hendrix was much better playing when he was drunk, although I think he was, rather than being drunk, was probably a bit more full of some sort of drugs, some sort of enhancing drugs. Yeah. But yeah, I think you're right. His stuff is very much stifled on YouTube. Voodoo Child, Purple Haze. I don't know where the Squire thing's a funny thing. The Squire was obviously, I don't know. I've got a couple of Squires that I've kept. I've got a Mikey Way bass, and I've got the Squire Bullet. The 6 serial numbers SQ0000016. Jimmy's turning his grave. He might be. Yeah, I'm sure he's going like that. But he's drunk. He's doing some sort of stream. It's a recent attempt. At least I'm honouring the man, I suppose. But I'm not saying that I've ever actually been able to play it. I kind of remember learning that from a tab book when I was like 18 or something, or 19. So I do like Hendrix. I never really understood. Is it Electric Ladyland? His amazing album, which to be honest, I've probably not listened to for years. Ended up getting the one. I got the expensive one, the one that's got the naked girls on the front cover, which actually Hendrix hated. And some of it was amazing, but an awful lot was a little bit rambling for me. But maybe now that I'm old, maybe it'll make more sense, and maybe just a bit ahead of his time. At that time, I was really, a couple of my pals were sort of into Hendrix a bit, but they'd kind of gone more along the lines of sort of dance music and stuff, and it was like, what? Maybe, I mean, now I can understand dance music a little bit more, but I mean, at the time it was like, And then when things like Oasis came out, it was just like, that is just shite from my point of view. And they were like, oh no, this is great. Yeah. It was like pure brain, pure can't cope with this. Listen to Black Sabbath, Technical Ecstasy. And I was like, they all hated that. Hey, Taylor made music. Now I see who you are. I can't remember. I will stick it in. Just basically, I will show you, but see if there's handprints in it and bucky stains. It's because I've picked it up when it's not quite dry yet. Oh. I did a video of this earlier on actually today, but will it still be in tune? I'll give it a go at trying to. The thing is, I can play the guitar after this amount of bucky, but I've got to have been playing the guitar the whole time before I started playing. This might be a complete disaster. Every string seems to be it's not even. Maybe this is enough. If I can do enough fuzz. I'm too drunk to tune a guitar. It's like oh, smoking the water. There we go. I need to do it. Well, we all went down to Montreux, ready to leave the shoreline, to make records with the mothers, but no, we didn't have much time. And when it all was over, I had to find another town. But Dr. Bob was running in and out. Oh, the kids are gone. Smoke on the road, fire in the sky. Smoke on the failed. It's like I'm too terrified playing this guitar that isn't mine. I should actually, if I'm just sensible, I will turn off the guitar pedal. Oh, actually, I've thought of something that's quite funny. It's an A. No, it's not. It's a G. Yeah, it's like it's like playing. I used to always find this years ago when I was playing the guitar and we get at the studio. As long as you'd done a couple of songs before you started hitting the bucky, you were able to keep it going. But what I did was I played a little bit, and then I haven't played for ages, so it sounds rank. Especially seeing as I was playing that earlier on. It's not in tune, so it's like pure. Wah! So when I was using the tuner, it was like pure. Oh, it's low, wah! And pure turning it about 9 notes high. If you use a lot of fuzz, you don't have to tune the guitar. Sort of, but it has to be something you kind of know how to play rather than something you're just winging. Which I've completely forgotten about. This doesn't need to be good. I'm going to have a game of Guess the Pedal. So I got a new pedal. Can you see it? Can you see it if I put it here? You can't, right? So I'm going to put this pedal on, and I want everyone to guess what kind of pedal it is. It should be fun. I'm assuming, of course, that it's going to do what it did last time I plugged it in. If it doesn't, it's going to be a pure shocker. I'll leave the first pedal on. Okay, yeah, right. So I'm going to wait till I've caught up with a. Right, okay, that's fine. That's fine. Oh. Ladyland was a bit. Yeah, sorry, no refunds. Bad playing is all part of my thing. One cried maze. I could probably play it in the bass. Hey David, how's it going? We're talking about you earlier on, so you'll have to go back. All right, we've caught up. Right, so here's the game, right? So I've got a pedal down here, which I've just. I'll try it. definitely in G though, whoever said it was an A. Came down to nothing. Smoke on the... It's that second car. There we go. Fire in the sky. Smoke on the water. Singing all the right words, not necessarily in the right order. I actually got out of the first big band, when I say big band, the first band that should have actually, at the time, really believed. It was kind of, we were well ahead of our time doing the sort of 70s rock thing. I'd only played for a couple of years, and the two other guys that were in it, Gavin and Michael, if you're still kicking about watching this, I doubt it very much, were a good deal older than me and much better. But they obviously, the reason I got into the band was because I had some sort of attitude thing where it was like, I didn't mind standing at the front playing bad bass. And we did a few gigs and a sort of a couple of demos, and it came down to our drummer was like, "You're just playing all the wrong notes." And I was like, "Up there, no, I'm playing all the right notes, not necessarily in the right order." And he honestly fell off his drum stool, and that's got me another 6 months in the band. But we're not gone. I've never really understood a tube screamer. It's not been my thing. You're guessing before I've turned it on. I've not turned the pedal on yet. Sorry. It's like the Beavis and Butthead song. I don't know what that is. I'm still on. Yeah, I'm still drunk. Right. So Jonathan Johnston, a lot of Johns in there. How do you learn guitar? Like, do you start on piano or something less superior to bass, then bass? Or was a bass your first instrument? The first instrument was actually a guitar. My pal left his guitar, a wee BB. It was a Philipston 10-watt amp at distortion. It was actually a Marlin Sidewinder Strat, and he'd got out of the library a Black Sabbath guitar book. And for the 6 months before that, all my pals had been learning to play the guitar, and they kept playing. Like, Stand By Me, and they all played it like that, and I was like, I don't get your guitar-y thing. I'm not learning to play that. And my pal left over the Black Sabbath guitar book, and I was like, you're okay with a distortion pedal. I didn't tune the guitar, didn't know how to do that. And I looked up and it showed you tab. So that kind of sort of makes sense. The first page was like that. And I could do that first attempt. I was like, right. And that was it. Once I could do that, I suddenly realised that all Black Sabbath songs are. What a cheat. And that was me. Hooked forever. From that point on, I was forever going to be playing the guitar. Like learn the guitar by playing the guitar. Yeah, I think it's actually Podtech. It's actually G minor. I think because they're not all Richie Beckler's favorite list. I think they're all kind of. I see. I wish I'd learned to play guitar. I wish I'd learned to play piano when I was earlier. By the time I got to the piano, it was a two hands thing. Pure blew my mind. I couldn't do it because although you're using both hands in the guitar, you're only playing one note, whereas the piano's playing two notes. I did go into a bit of synthesizer in this when I found out there was a thing called a mono synth, which you can only play one note at a time, which meant you could just play that bit, and this hand could go and adjust stuff. That's fine. So I can play mono stuff, but I can't use. Your mate No G always uses a tube screamer, whereas Colton, I don't know who Colton is, but Rat was the only pedal I used for about 20 years. No, I started off in guitar. Well, actually, to be honest, I don't have a plastic. I was going to work on this. I used to be able to play Paranoid on a ruler on my school desk, like that. Like with a plastic ruler, that's a metal ruler. but I could play that before I could play an instrument. So I could, and the thing was, it was kind of right. You know, I've been using a plastic ruler on my school desk, and then when it came to putting it into the guitar, it was actually easier than playing it on the ruler, because in the ruler you don't have frets. So there was a sort of element of trying to get it right for going. It's like Coxton, right? Okay, Blur. Actually, my pal, the first time I was ever in the studio ever with any band ever, we could only play 2 songs. One of them was an original song, and the other one was song 2. And I was a bass player, even though I didn't even own a bass at the time. I borrowed one off the guitar player, and I borrowed a bass off my pal. It was a Westone Spectrum, and I used the rat pedal for song 2. And the first time we were ever in the studio, they had these big wooden frame things with, you know, the sponge blocks in it. I don't know if they still got them in Berkeley. And I was up here, and I jumped off it, and it pure came out. All the roll plugs came out the wall and pure destroyed it. And it was like, right. And I've still got that rat pedal. Cheers, Michael. It's up there because I loved it. The trick is to keep playing, though. Really, it's just play and find something you really like playing. Because that's what I was saying when all my pals were learning. It was a different kind of group of pals that I borrowed the guitar off, but it was playing things that I didn't really get. It's like Stand By Me. Yeah, even now it's like, yeah, whereas Paranoid, and Whole Lot of Love, you know. And it's not difficult to play it so it actually is recognisable and sounds like it. It's not that difficult. I keep turning the other things down rather than the volume. The volume's in a funny place in this guitar. Right, so I'm cut up. I try to play a lot of country, rock and roll. I wish I could play more country. I love it. I mean, me and my pal G went through a stage of watching. I can't remember what the program was called. It was on YouTube. Hey, Jonathan Johnson giving me money. Amazing. Wow. You should ask a question in it as well, and I'll talk about it for a while. Me and my pal Robert G used to watch. It wasn't the Grand Ole Opry. Was it the Johnny Cash show actually? And you would get these folk like I want to say George Stevens and Waylon Jennings, all this stuff, and it was really rocking. It's like country music is brilliant when it's fast. It's like the fast country music, pure amazing. It's just when it's a bit slow and ballady, but that kind of fits across all types of music for me. It's like I like a bit more upbeat, a bit more sort of it's like yes, if it's fast and dancey, it's a pure yes. And there's a lot of country music. I don't know anything about country music. I wish I knew a bit more. Yeah, hold on. Right, so I'm up to date with the chat. Let's guess what this pedal is. So this is it off, right? This is it on. It didn't work. How annoying. Yeah, okay, forget it. I think what had happened was the battery was absolutely on its last legs, right? So when I plugged this in the other day, it just went like that. It's actually a graphic equalizer, but the battery must be completely dead now. So I think on the very last dingmate it just made it go, and it was like it sounded like the most crazy thing ever. I don't know. Acoustics aren't as much fun as electrics. Also, you can buy 2 electrics that fit in the rack for the space of one acoustic. Alex James just wants to be. I don't know who Alex James is. Is he the guy from Blur? I wish I knew a bit more about country western music, but I totally get it. I don't hate Coldplay because I was never subjected to it. I'm sure one of the reasons I dislike Oasis so much is because just Oasis all the time. If I'd maybe never heard it, it would be, it maybe wouldn't be as offensive and making me want to go out on a mad rampage killing folk. that it does. But even now, I'm kind of, it's more of a memory of the rage rather than actual rage. You know what I mean? If you put it on, I could probably do half, like one side of an Oasis record without physically harming anyone, because I've not been subjected to it. But you got to appreciate that it was like from like 5 years or something when those albums were out. It was just, oh, fuck off. Oh, die. Oh. Right, let's catch up on a bit of tracking. What we're doing. Avenged Sevenfold. I don't know any Avenged Sevenfold. My story of Avenged Sevenfold is they either headlined or were second top with Bullet for My Valentine of Download a few years ago. And it was one of those things where I was like, no. I kind of, is Avenged Sevenfold the one that's got Sinister Gates, who plays a Schecter guitar that's got a distinctive shape? I was aware of his guitar, basically. And I went to see this. They're headlining whatever night it was at Download. Let's give him a shot. And Bullet for My Valentine and Avenged Sevenfold, I'm sorry, I can't remember them. Both of them were brilliant. Both of them were, I'd never heard anything they've ever done before. Ever. And they were thoroughly entertaining and, in my eye, completely deserving of folk for loving them. Not I'm saying I fully understand it or they're my favourite thing ever, but watching them live, awesome. That was a fantastic show. Both of them, like, I can't remember which one was which, but both of them, amazing. Maybe not my thing, doesn't matter. Would you advise go to see them? Yes. Can't go to that and not enjoy it. It was fantastic. And then similar sort of feeling with Slipknot, and they were goddamn awful. Oh no, terrible. But it's obviously all a taste thing. But I really liked Killswitch Engage. I don't know. The thing about Killswitch Engage, see if you engage the kill switch, does that not turn everything off? So it's like, turn it off. Yeah, Killswitch Engage. Engage the kill switch. Boom. Silence. Maybe. Don't know. I don't know enough about country music to dislike it, but I mean, I can dig Johnny Cash, Dolly Parton, the small amounts of it that came over here. I mean, I can imagine it's very, very different if you're from the South of America, you know, the southern states, where country music is. But I mean, I'm sure there's the same as any other kind of music. It's not really. Obviously, there's shit country music. Of course there is. But there's also really good stuff. I mean, for me, it's kind of. I'm kind of into the country thing, sort of in from, you know, your Blackfoot and Lynyrd Skynyrd and stuff, which is, I suppose it's country rock in it, or southern rock or whatever. There's totally something in there. And just having, I mean, I love see fast banjo playing. Amazing. Love it. Can't play it. Different tools for me. I love guitars. I'd love a banjo. I'd love to be able to play a banjo, but it's really, really different and very different from a guitar to be good. If you know what I mean. I don't want to be shit on the banjo. It's like I don't want to be. I could probably give it a, you know. I could probably do that in a banjo, but I want to be giving it a, you know, the rolls. I can't even attempt to do it because I'm drunk, but the rolls, you know, like the deliverance, the devil went down to Georgia. I used to be able to play the devil. I tried. I mean, I need to. It's about time I tried to like. I could sort of play that. I can maybe I could play it now if I really tried. I've just zoomed in like an idiot. Right, different tools for me. Tube Screamer. I need to give it a go. I know that a Tube Screamer is meant to be the ultimate thing. Maybe it's just the amps I use. I've kind of, because of that Sovtech amp I use, I've kind of settled that that's what I want. I can deal with that. It's part of me. So the other amps I've got kind of sound like that. So I don't know if it really likes a Tube Screamer. Oh, hold on. Zoom down. There we go. Same about the Doors. Ruined my youth. Oh, maybe it depends on when you were. Because I mean, I heard the Doors when the film came out. And I thought they were amazing. I remember having a tape that I thought Break On Through was the big hit. Well, it wasn't a big hit, but I thought Break On Through was just stunning. But I was maybe warped from the first tape I had when I ever got a Walkman. And we're talking like it was a fake Walkman, like some didn't have rewind on it. Was my dad's cassette collection, which must have been from when he was, I was going to say my age. He was my age at this time. So like when he was 20 or something, the first a cassette, and it was the Beach Boys 20 Golden Greats on one side and the Shadows 20 Golden Greats on the other. And that's what I listened to in my Walkman. That and Dire Straits, Brothers in Arms. So 86, 87, something like that. So I kind of came from there. And when the Doors were out, maybe a few years later, when they were famous, I couldn't believe how good they were. Loved that. Loved Break On Through. Fantastic. I remember actually on the school trip to Switzerland, sharing earphones with Colin Laird, whoever you are. And we were listening to it, and it was so stereo. You'd be listening to, I don't know, probably the greatest hits or something. And because it was mega stereo, because it was like from 1967 or 68, you'd be listening to it and it would just be like pure da 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 da. Break on through to the other side. Break on through to the other side. Da da da. Because the other side was doing the riff. Yeah, amazing. But I mean, I think it's one of those things that to truly hate something, you have to be subjected to it a lot. I mean, that's the difference between, as I said, with Oasis and Coldplay. Coldplay, I don't really like them, but I've never had to listen to the same songs. When you're talking about same area, really, that I heard that 100 times, 1,000 times in 1996 or whatever it was, and every time it got more painful. It's the same with the element of, the first time I heard Purple Haze, every time I heard it, it got better. When it's something you absolutely detest, every time you hear it, you get more murderous. Slipknot, I'm sorry, Hellbound, Slipknot were absolutely pants. I hated them. I do accept the fact that I'd been up all day drinking, right? And the band that were on before were Die Artwood, which were a sort of hardcore techno band, which I kind of liked, but was a really strange. And there were two assholes in front of us with Slipknot t-shirts who were pure moshing, jumping about, not for fun, knocking folk over and stuff like that. But I didn't like Slipknot at all. Yeah, I'm sure there's some bluegrass stuff that's great. Yes, I agree. I'm going to try and catch up now. Could you recommend a half-decent entry-level bass amp? Go on the local adverts, because people don't want a big bass amp. You can pick up something like that. It's a Marshall is it a B150? 150 watt. Got for 30 quid. You're talking about something between 30, 40 watt and 100 watt. 1x15 or 1x12 cabinet you can pick up for 20 quid or 30 quid on Facebook Marketplace or a local pickup, Gumtree, whatever your local one is. That's the way to go, because although it's huge, it's too big. And yes, you can buy one of these wee TC electronic amps, which sounds much better than that. And you can run it through like 210s. It would sound much better than that. But you're talking about 300 quid, $300, say, and that you're talking about $30. So have a look out and try and get something old and stupidly big for an entry-level bass amp. Don't buy a new one until you know what you're doing. Ruben, meet up at the next download. Definitely. Next download that's actually on. I will meet up with folk. I actually, the last time I was there, I wore my Mad Malco t-shirts, thinking, I'm going to be famous. And nobody mentioned it. It was a little bit. I wanted to meet somebody, one person that goes, oh, no, you're from YouTube. But didn't happen. But definitely. I have a Schecter A7 7-string. It's the same shape. Talking about the Sinister Gate signature based on the shape they already did. It very much could be. Yes. Yes, it could be. I don't know the Sinister Gate one. It's kind of, I don't even know how you would describe it. It's amazing the way it's got its own shape, if you know what I mean. But for that alone, whether I like it or not, it's out the equation. It's just like it's got a shape. Rocking, well done for doing that. Bloodstock. I think Bloodstock might be too heavy metal for me. I'm not sure. I like the Doors, heard them enough for several lifetimes. Possibly. I mean, I saw I bought a DVD of the Doors, and I think it was like three other what used to be videos that people used to pure covet, and they all came out in one DVD for a tenner or something. And they were playing the Hollywood Bowl, and it was amazing how well they played as a sort of. It made so much more sense when you saw them playing live in their prime, where it's like there's nothing going on at all. It's like the guitarist just kind of playing very single line flamenco stuff and drums, and then obviously Ray Manzarek's giving it the really simple dun 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 dun, and then you get amazing. It's like the Hollywood Bowl, it's called. I actually saw them live. Well, I saw two of them live. So it was Manzarek on guitar, Krieger, Manzarek on keyboard, Krieger on guitar. The guy out the Cult, Ian Astbury, who got sacked about 2 days after the gig I saw because he was too much like Jim Morrison. He turned up at the Armadillo, and he came out and he was like, he looked exactly like Jim Morrison. He had the curly hair, leather jacket, leather trousers. He was Jim Morrison. He goes up here, he was like, up here, Glasgow, Bucky for the Neds. And you're like, I like this guy. And he was absolutely fantastic. One of the best gigs I've ever been to. They weren't called the Doors. They were called the 21st Century Doors or something. If anyone ever recorded that, that was an immense gig. Absolutely fantastic. Oh. I don't think Leo... Sorry, Hellbound, we're talking to you now. I went to see Oasis in, I don't know what year it was, after the second album, before the third album, or maybe just after the third album, 2000 or something, I don't know, in Murrayfield. And Liam was the only rock star on that stage. The rest of them were dicks. It was just like, Liam, everyone always hates Liam. No, Liam is all right. And he was kind of engaging with the audience, talking, singing his heart out, doing all the rock star things, and then you get Noel just standing there. Enjoying the adulation of all the folk that loved him with sunglasses on. Fucking dick. They were terrible. I wish Rubens, yes, I'm a big country fan, to the element of, if you look up Fields of Fire at the Barras and the film Restless Natives, absolutely love that. Can't play it. I wish I could. I can't even attempt to play any. It's just too difficult. I mean, amazing. I don't know enough about them. Hey, Sam Black. Yes, I'm pretty drunk now. I'm nearly finished my bucket, to be honest. I've been getting folk talking. It's like I've kind of had a really shaky start though, because YouTube changed the way they set up the live stream, and basically it was my fault because the TV I'm watching it on is when you put it on full screen, you can't see the edges of it because it's such an old shitty TV. So I couldn't see the bit that said save. So I was spent half an hour trying to set up the live stream, the new system, and I couldn't see any way of actually just launching it. And I think I actually found the launch button about 7:59, like pure bang on, and it was just me going like that, pure yes, that worked. Had the Doors and Blood, Sweat and Tears in '88 as an apprentice from a guy who drove a forklift at the mushroom factory when he couldn't get. It sounds like a fantastic film. Couldn't get work in the motor trade. I mean, what song's that from? Because it should be a song. I heard the Doors on Blood, Sweat and Tears in 1980 as an apprentice from a guy who drove a forklift in a mushroom factory when he couldn't get work in the motor trade. It's like that's a concept album. That statement. You know what I mean? That's just like, I've got this musical idea. What is it? Bang! That's it. Hey, Sam. Got a 160 watt Lady bass amp, Neon down in Troon. Andy, I can't remember your name. I'm sorry. I'm just going to call you Neon, which is cooler than a real name anyway. 160 watt Lady bass amp for 40 quid. it's not stupidly big, but stupidly heavy. Yeah, but that's the thing where it becomes different, because if you can pick up what used to be required for doing gigs, you know, your H&H, Carlsbro, all that stuff. Buy like a 2x12 guitar cab or whatever it is, or a 2x12 bass amp, or a 1x15 bass amp, which is massive. It's really heavy. It's probably really inefficient, but it sounds really good. And at the time, in the 70s or the 80s when it was made, that'd be like pure what you needed to play a pub. Whereas now, if you're playing a pub, they've got like a DI box and a PA, because it's not really that expensive. So they've got like a 5K or a 10K rig set up, and they're just going to DI everything. So really, what you actually need is, you know, like a head and a 12-inch speaker. That's basically, and even then you don't even need that. You just need a DI port for almost everything. Especially if you're running through one of your, you know, like an effects pedal board, like a multi-effects. They've got speaker emulators and stuff. Why even turn up with an amp? You know what I mean? You're turning up with a van to carry all your amps and stuff when you could just be turning up with your pedal. It doesn't necessarily work for me because I'm old school, a man, you know what I mean, a real rocker, so I need to have my Valve amp. But I mean, it does look better, especially with the big Marshalls. Like, obviously, if I'm playing a gig, the rest of the Black Sabbath band are when they found out I had that, it's like, oh, you have to use that at gigs. It's like, well, I have to actually physically unbolt the seats in the back of my car to get it to fit. But obviously, as a stage prop, a 4x10, a 1x15, a 400-watt head it's more impressive, and it does obviously blast like an airplane taking off. You know what I mean? If you're standing anywhere near this, it is pure. You know, physically, I can just be standing in front of this and go ba-boom, and it's like, whoa, an involuntary flying forward. Bloodstock, I don't know really Bloodstock that much. The problem is with the Bloodstock is I know Download, my pal Wayne, is the bin man, or was the bin man for the area around Download. So he lives like 4 mile away or something like that. So it's like kind of, he knows everybody, and we can get in. And so the first time I actually went to Download, I stayed in a field because the farmer who rented out his field for one of the main car parks got like some tickets, but he's like, you know, he's like 70, not into metal at all. So because he got free tickets, so I got one of those free tickets. It was a VIP pass and stuff. So I basically got to park my car in a field on the other side of the farm. So I had like a 5-acre field on my own, sitting in my car, like after the gig, wherever you could hear the kind of, you know, the dance tents and stuff going off about a mile in the distance. It was amazing. So that's kind of why Download's really a big thing for me, because I can make it a few extra days, because I can go down a couple of days early, sleep in Wayne's garage or his man cave, and then make much of it. It's amazing. But I mean, if you've never got a chance to see Saxon, I think they're actually touring just now. Go and see Saxon. Saxon are one of those bands that, if you like music at all, you've never heard Saxon, that's fine. Go and see them. And even if the songs, it doesn't really matter whether they're hits from the 80s or of their sort of more recent albums, they've got a good half of their set. By the time they get to the chorus the second time through, you know what to sing. So it's like you're listening to it going up here, okay, good riff. Oh, that's a catchy chorus. That's a good riff. And the time the second chorus comes on, you're giving it denim. And you know it, and you can sing along and fully join in. Winger and a bit like that as well. Amazing. People love to rag on the Doors. I don't know. I mean, I'm totally out of the situation. I always liked the Doors much more than I saw them as sitting in. I don't know, a bit different. The Cult. I've never really understood the Cult. I saw a band down in Turkey who played quite a lot of Cult songs, and I'll be honest, I really loved the Doors with Ian Astbury singing. The Cult, and we tried to do a couple of songs in Cranking House when we were still a sort of pub covers band before the drummer tried to get gigs and found out you could only get gigs if you were A, tribute act, B, doing original stuff, rather than being a sort of rock greatest hits thing. So we kind of changed. I don't really understand the Cult. They've got some sort of alright songs, but they're not my thing. I don't know. Hang on. I'm getting a bit behind again. I'll try and pin through them. Oh. Oh. My brothers met both brothers, says we're pretty good. I think Liam seemed all right. That's only for one thing, but I was subjected to this band for the entirety of my formative years, really, and everyone loved them. Hi, cheers, Dava, trying to back me up. Mark's pretty drunk, so if you have a question, best use the emotes so he sees it. I'll work my way through it. I'll just go till I fall over. The way it goes. But cheers, Dava. Thanks for your support, man. Guns N' Roses World Tour. Never liked Guns N' Roses, so I'll skip past that because I don't want to offend anyone. But one of the first, I remember seeing a concert of Guns N' Roses on, I don't know, Channel 4, and we're talking pre. I was into. I'd heard Nirvana Smells Like Teen Spirit, so pre-90, it was on in the middle of the night, and I thought this is awful. I didn't get it. Fields of Fire, yeah. I understand the thing about slashes. So see, when I was teaching to play the guitar, oh, can you teach me how to play the guitar? I just want to play Oasis songs. No, that's not a good way of learning guitar. Guns N' Roses songs, yes, that's a good way. Apart from the fact they tune down half a step just to be dicks, but you can. A lot of the Guns N' Roses songs have a very obvious major chords rhythm guitar going along behind it, so it's really good for learning the guitar. Whereas if you're trying to learn Oasis, it's like pure. It's just chords at the Beatles book. So you learn the chords, and it's like, oh, what other songs can I use those chords in? None. Okay, whereas if you learn how to play Guns N' Roses, it's like G, C, and D. Oh, we've got the entire Stones catalogue. We've got all these other songs that use the chords you've already learned. Whereas Oasis, you had to learn a different chords because every single song has. It's like that. Every song's the same rhythm, so they've just got all these Beatles chords on it. It's terrible. Belly Duffy was in Nosebleeds. Nosebleeds is an amazing name for a band. I've never heard of them. Fields of Fire, Big Country, that's fine. Slash the reason I like to play the guitar, fair enough. Billy Duffy's Nosebleeds. Oh, I'm getting cut up. I have a Harley Benton 2x12 sounds fantastic. Just to try my bass onto it, as I've heard they can pop the speakers. Not at ridiculous volumes, you can't. Is there a difference between guitar speakers and bass speakers? If you're playing in the house, I don't think there really is, to be honest. I kind of don't want to say that in case I become liable for telling you that, but I think, I mean, you didn't get bass amps until, I don't know when bass amps came out, but I mean, see when the Stones were doing their 70s tours and that, and even Deep Purple, they just played through a Marshall stack. They didn't get a bass amp. It didn't really exist at the start, so, and they were playing to, a stadium to 5,000 people without an actual PA. So I think you'll be all right. Hey, Dava. Mark's pretty drunk, so if you have a question, best use the boat so he sees it. I'm just working my way down, Dava. Cheers, though. Love Big Country. His name was Douglas Hill. Whoever he was. Yeah. Oh, good thinking, Neon. 2112 subscribers. Rushing their washing machines, yeah. I thought that was hilarious. That was whatever year that was, and it's like pure. My pal Wayne sent me a video because he's a massive Rush fan. Was I looking at it and it's like, those amps, and it's like they had amp heads on washing machines just because there's no point. Hey, Cameron, you were meant to come round and pick up your guitar. I was thinking I'd maybe have a wee bit of a guest spot tonight when you're coming to pick up your guitar. But you cut up. Oh, well behind her. I'm nearly cut. A lot of Saxon and Maiden from my dad, so got to see what stage Sabbath. Well, actually got Civic to listen to Iron Maiden's first album the other day. Hey, Cameron, sounds like fun. I must admit, I'm almost caught up actually. I think. Oh, it's time for batteries for my remote control keyboard. It's just kind of dying a little bit. The cult are like Guns N' Roses, yeah, sort of. But the problem was that, see, I wasn't about at the time that the cult were about, so I was already, when I was, I don't know, 16, 17, we're talking about, well, I was at 78, so at 16 it was what, 94? No, that doesn't make sense. The rock wasn't really a thing. Nirvana, I remember hearing Nirvana when I was like 13 or 14 and going, oh, rock music, wow, I've never heard this before. And Guns N' Roses, I don't know. So and then immediately I was into, I'd heard, it was T-Rex was the first band, to be honest. And the Beach Boys and the Shadows, and then T-Rex was the first cassette I ever had that was cool. And then Nirvana, and then I heard the Rolling Stones, and it was like pure. And then the Deep Purple, Led Zeppelin, Jimi Hendrix. It was like, pure, why would you listen to anything after that? Because I don't know, bizarre. I still quite like Guns N' Roses a bit. I can get the rhythm to Man in a Box. Can you? Wah wah wah. I remember that from Beavis and Butthead, and it's obviously an amazing riff, because I remember that from when I saw it on Beavis and Butthead on Channel 4, when it was on Channel 4, and I can still remember the riff. I don't think I've heard it since then. She's Self-Sanctioned. I've heard that people have always tried to ask me if I can play it. I don't know. Yeah. Got a Harley Benton SC400. I don't know what that is. Is that an SC400 a telly because it's single cut? Or is it an SC400 Les Paul? I'm sure it's fine. Bass and amps invented in the 50s. Yeah, I know what you mean. But not really. I mean, when Deep Purple were playing in 1970, 1972, he didn't get like a PA for the whole band. I know the Fender Bassman. Understand that, yeah. Hey, Cameron. If you're just home, I mean, you could pop round, but I mean, let's be honest, I would absolutely rip the piss out of you just because I would think it was funny, and I think you're really cool. So I would expect that you wouldn't punch me or go in a bad mood. So I'm up here. You're likely to get a lot of abuse, so you're probably better not coming round. Hey, Stephen, who did 68 Guns again? I don't know. Is there not a Green Day called 21 Guns? Is that the same thing? 21 Guns? I don't know. Hey, Taylor, we were watching Rush live last night, the tour, when Geddy Lee had rotisserie chicken machines behind him. He started playing AM directs to the PA. Amazing. Yeah, I can imagine. Rush, there was one of the live streams folk were trying to goad me into fighting about Rush, and it's like, they're not my thing, but I totally get how they're pure amazing. I don't really know what to say. It's about Rush. They do have some brilliant stuff. Craig, you gave me such a big amount of money, and no one else has joined in, giving me lots of money, but I use 10s basically on all the guitars, and the basses I use maybe 100 to 45 or a 105. Doesn't really make any difference. I so rarely change strings on a bass that it doesn't make any difference. I just use 10s. But if I get a good price on 8s or 9s, I'd totally go for it. Oh, Craig, we're talking about a Welsh band there. The Alarm. I recognise the name. I don't know. I think you kind of got to be about from a certain era to get a lot of these bands. I think they're just. I'm either too young or too old for a lot of this. And remember, when I was young, I was listening to the Stones, the Beatles, Pink Floyd. Well, not so much Pink Floyd. Do you know what I mean? Deep Purple, Led Zeppelin, Black Sabbath, and I couldn't understand why you would want to listen to Metallica when listen to Black Sabbath Sabotage, it's 10 times better. But I suppose there's an element about it being current. So you're thinking, oh, we can go and see them live. Okay, you couldn't see Black Sabbath live. But the Metallica, the Black Album, is just nothing compared to the best of Sabbath stuff. But I had the access to the Sabbath stuff, which most folk didn't have. So it's a bizarre one, man. I mean, to be honest, Craig, it's one of those things that I've never really got down to actually. It's the same as alternate tunings and having lots of pedals. I'm not good enough. Haven't ran out of stuff to play in the guitar to learn on a basically clean or basically just sort of distorted, slightly fuzzy guitar to need extra tunings or lots of effects or different string gauges, really. Just kind of deal with what it is you've got. Again, that might come from the fact I've got far too many guitars. I mean, let's be honest, it's like I've got far too many, more than I could ever use. I mean, I was in the band Kraken House that I'm in just now for, I don't know, a year or something like that. I took 2 guitars in every week and never doubled. Never took in the same one twice. It's like, just depends. And it's like, it's really depressing when I dig out a guitar like this, which I can imagine somebody having this and, having half a dozen guitars, and this is by far better than all the other ones. And I'm including ones that cost $1,000 and stuff. It probably is better. And it sits in my, it's pretty cheesy, I don't want to sell it. Same with something like that bass. It's like, yeah, it's pretty cool. Got it pure bargain cheap. Same price as a few bottles of Bucky type thing. Budgie are super furry animals. I'm not a fan of, unfortunately. But Winger rules. Winger are amazing live. Me and my pal went to see Winger. It was in the ABC, which is the best venue in Glasgow, which is now burnt down. And it was like, yeah, I go to see Winger. It was like a Wednesday night or something. It was like, I don't know, 15 quid a ticket. Fuck it. Drink a bottle of Bucky in the train on the way in. And it was like, yeah! After one song, and it was like, they had the best. You didn't have to get to the second chorus to know the song. It's like you could sing along. I can't remember what the song's called. It's like, easy high, and you're like, easy low. And it was like pure. It was so obvious what the second verse was, the second line of it, so you could sing along with the chorus for the song on the first round of the chorus, and then when it came to the second time, you were absolutely knowledgeable of it. You could shout it with sometimes high, sometimes low, na na na. We don't know, and it's like you just knew the words. It was amazing. But Budgie are supreme. I was playing Panzer Division Destroyed the other day. The best riff ever. Not the way I play it, but the way it's played on the album. Breadfan is the one that goes, that's the one everyone knows because Metallica covered it. Metallica covered a couple of Budgie songs. And although I think Lars is a pure dick, he intentionally covered Budgie songs because he couldn't believe that Budgie were struggling for money because nobody ever bought their stuff. Breadfan's the one that goes... I don't know it, but I mean, I should know it. But Budgie will always be pretty tight to the one of the best. I wish I'd got to see them. I think Burke Shelley, the singer, is ill, and this is, we're talking about 10 years ago when I was mad into Budgie, and it was just like, if you're Breadfan is nuts, but it's not their best song. They've got several, basically, they're on YouTube now, so why not look them up? Look up Bandolier, the album. It's amazing. In for the Kill, the album is amazing. If I Were Britannia, I'd Waive the Rules. They're just absolutely. It's like a sledgehammer. They kind of. I remember Pal used to laugh at them because they've got like the half riff, so they kind of pure. It's kind of like he kind of wanted to go do, but it doesn't. I'm amazing. Black Sabbath and Budgie, they're very like they're Black Sabbath, although they have a little bit of the money, whereas Budgie, I don't think got sod all. I actually nearly bought a bass. I wish I'd bought it. It was 400 quid, and it was a Flying V bass that was made by the Budgie guitar player from, I can't remember which player. They had a few. There was one called Pete Boot. It wasn't him, but it was the guy who played Panzer Division Destroyed, built his own guitar, a Flying V, and he was selling it on eBay, and it was 400 quid, and it was him that was selling it, and I didn't have the money to buy it. It was a pretty ugly guitar, but it was actually the one that played Panzer Division Destroyed at the Reading Festival on the record I've got. They're amazing. Black Sabbath and Budgie are called metal, but they are blues rock, really. The thing is, heavy metal didn't exist at the time. It was a bizarre thing, because, I mean, Black Sabbath, Paranoid got into the charts. Do you know what I mean? It's like, so it's like it wasn't so genre-specific at the time. When I grew up, we're talking about when I was, I don't know, what's my formative years, between sort of 14 and 20 or something like that, it was pure divided up, whereas it never used to be in the 60s and the 70s because they weren't there. And then I remember, we're probably going back 10, 15 years now. I remember meeting folk on Top of the Bing, kids, when we were, I don't know, what, 30. There was kids at 15, 16, and they had like a CD player radio thing. And they were listening to dance music and then the Beatles and then Metallica. And it was like they just had no concept of you had to be in this one clique. Which I grew up in that clique. I was in my own clique. You got your heavy metal. Hold on, I'm going to come back in a minute. Just 2 seconds. I'm not going for a piss. That would take too long. Ow. Sorry. I'm back. I'm going to wind it up soon. Because I've already finished my bucky. I'm now on to cider. Been on for 2.5 hours. It's probably about time to rack it up. And to be honest, I totally walked into the kitchen worktop into my balls, man. It's actually quite sore. They call it early Iron Maiden heavy metal. It's called hard rock punk. There's so much of an argument about it. I think, to be honest, heavy metal kind of... There's a part of it that is Judas Priest, Metal God, the British Steel album, was when, not that they were the first to play it or the first to invent it, they were the first ones to say, we are a heavy metal band. That's when the leather, the spikes, and it became that. Not that they did it first. I bought a PRS Paul Allender. They are death metal. No, I think they're black metal, aren't they? I don't know. I'm a bit of a Cradle of Filth fan. Out of all the mad, I don't really like that much heavy metal music. I do know Cradle of Filth, and I thought they were brilliant. Cradle of Filth. I love it. Well, Priest are awesome. I didn't know Priest until much later on. Are Moorhead metal? Well, was Moorhead first single, not Louie Louie? And there were Hawkwinds, which weren't metal. The whole classification thing of it is like a whole... I don't know. I mean, the way I like to look at it is I don't know, maybe there's 3 types of music. There's music I don't like, right? And then there's music I do like that's kind of heavy, and music I do like that's kind of not really heavy. That's basically the 3 categories I've got. And there's no correct way of looking. There's no. It's like it's an opinion. What's heavy metal or Iron Maiden heavy metal? Yeah, but I call a lot of the bands that download heavy metal, and it's like, oh no, we are thrash metal, or like, are Metallica heavy metal, or are they thrash metal, or Megadeth, and it's like, are they metal? I don't know where it comes in. It's like there's so much in there. It's like it's always going to be a grey area. It's the sort of thing that's great to, rather than actually have a conclusion, what you want to do is sit and get drunk and stoned with your pals and argue about it all night. Because ultimately, at the end of the night, nobody's going to be fighting. Even though the argument might get really heated, nobody really cares. You're both right. That's fine. Hawkwind. I had to retire to bed and stick the bucky back in the shelf. I was falling asleep on the couch due to tiredness. I ran 10k this morning. That's really stupid. No, well done. But I mean, the bucky should give you the impetus to keep going. I've, rather than drinking anymore, I'm on the cider now. And I had to ask in the shop whether I was able to split up the 4-pack and buy 1 can. I don't want 4 cans. It's completely subjective. I think the real answer is you can't say any band is one particular genre. Yes, but there is, even at that state, it's like pure right. Are ABBA? Well, no, ABBA's a bad one because they do have some pretty heavy rocking songs. Is Cat Stevens heavy metal? No. Right. So there is, it's possible. I don't know. But yeah, I mean, I don't know. I mean, I don't even know what it is I say I like, music-wise, because it comes down to, as an element, there's a whole range. A lot of the bands and downloads cover this, which I don't get. I don't understand, but I can still enjoy it. It's like if it's a really good band, and that's when my pal made me go and see Green Day. And it's like, yeah, I like 2 or 3 songs. That'll be fine. And the concert was fantastic. It's like, if you like music in any way, you would absolutely love a Green Day concert. It was like, whatever happened, there was always one of them was at that side of the stage, one of them was at that side of the stage, and one of them was, and they were always being silly and running about, and every song was really catchy. And I didn't know 2 or 3 Green Day songs. I knew 10 Green Day songs, and they were fantastic. And it's like, I fully understand and I totally appreciate Green Day. Not necessarily going to buy their albums or something, but going to see them, oh, yes. And the same with Bullet for My Valentine and Avenged Sevenfold. I didn't know any of their songs. Thoroughly enjoyable. For me, when I saw Slipknot, they were absolute turgid mess, and I hated it every minute of it because everyone was pure loving it, and it was pure rubbish. But there is an element of whatever it is you think. I'm not saying they were rubbish. To me, they were. I'm sure there's people that like it. Yeah, cool. Night, Taylor. I'm gonna wrap it up now. My plan for these is to do them for an hour. I didn't even make a big attempt of finishing my bucky. I finished it. I moved on to a can of cider. But thanks, everyone, and thanks so much for the Craig. Really, I mean, fantastic. I can't believe you gave me so much money. Brilliant. I'm going to totally buy myself guitars and everything for it, man. Disco. I love disco. I don't really know it. The thing is, I can't judge on whether I like soul music, but I really love disco music. Boney M, ABBA, the Bee Gees. It's like pure. I absolutely love that. I don't like. I mean, one of the best players is ABBA. I don't know. I assume he was just a session guy. I don't know if they actually had a proper bass player. But I mean, but you're talking about money, 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 and basically every ABBA song is from a lot of years. I remember buying, and in fact, my mum got it. In fact, I won it at what do you call it when you get tickets? It's not a raffle. is it a tombola? When there's prizes on a thing, and it was like some village country fair thing, and you bought tickets, and it's like, like a ticket book, and it was like, I've got ticket number 105, and I won ABBA Gold, the VHS, and it was like, right, that's great. I was maybe, I don't know, 13 or something like that. That's great, that's brilliant. And then when I was 15, we're all steaming in my house, like, stick on that video, put it on, and it was like, and it came through the part that was like, there are 10 songs out of the 14 that are on ABBA Gold that are absolute bangers, that are pure. They've got the rock guitar, they've got the metal, they've got everything you could possibly want. Rutger Gunnarsson plays on live tour, possibly. But bum 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 boo doo doo doo. I actually saw a video the other day of was it the recording of, or was it just live of Morris Gibb playing bass in I can't remember what it was, Tragedy or something like that, but that sort of bass playing is my kind of bass playing. Less so, I mean, I do love like Les Claypool and all that stuff, but really when you look at like Boney M and the Bee Gees and ABBA, that's really the bass playing that really is like pure yep. And Jerry Sheff from Elvis, when it's just like pure yep, I'm going to do my thing. Boom, bump, bump, bump. Fantastic. Right, so I'm going to call it a day at that. Thanks, everyone. Thanks so much, everyone, for using the super chat thing. It's like Dava there suggested, you should be putting the super chat thing on. I don't really understand how to use it. So I set it up. I also put a thing where there's members. So I don't know if you can join. If anyone joins, I'll put up separate videos. I've got more videos that I can put out. So, in fact, actually, before I go, I've got a video that I've not done yet. I saw a video of a guy I think he's in Edinburgh, another Scottish guy who's younger and better looking than me and has an awful lot more money than me. And he was doing a video on he was doing a video on a guitar that was so manky. And I noticed it came up in my feed the other day. I saw him when he did it about 6 months ago, and it was like 914 or 950,000 views. So he's making money off that video. So I might try and do a little bit more professional, but I've got this bass, which is a vintage, right? I don't know if you're going to be able to see how minging this is. It's like absolutely fucking horrible. Like, I don't even want to know what that is that's sitting on top of the speaker. So I might spend a little bit of money, a little bit of time doing a video for this and trying to make it work again. Unfortunately, it's a lefty. But that doesn't matter. This is from Tony and Blitzkrieg. Is there anything you can do with that? And so you kind of look at it and you go, oh, I don't know. I think there's a note it'll be a fantastic bass when it's finished. It's just, even, I don't know if can you see the screws on that? It's like, I really want a tetanus shot before I even look at it. I kind of wish it was a right-handed bass, because left-handed is not as easy to sell or anything like that. But I might spend a little bit more time. So I noticed an awful lot of people put yeah. Cheers, Daniel. You're in there, and it's amazing. Humidity at work. Yeah. Well, I don't know. I mean, I don't think you get humidity in Scotland, and I assume that's where it came from. And basically, see, after touching this for 2 seconds, I've got a total desire that I cannot, like, although I'm online and I'm talking to lots of folk and it's amazing, my brain is just saying, wash your hands, wash your hands, wash your hands, no, wash your hands, wash your hands, what? It's absolutely minging. Oh God, it's a really nice thin knit. I mean, it's like it's the sort of thing that, see, if you just touch this anywhere, even if you were at Download Festival or Glastonbury on the third day, and and you accidentally touched this, you would immediately be like, toilets. I don't mind waiting for 10 minutes. I need to get rid of it. I'm gonna just, I would like to leave it in the corner of my room, but I'm going to have to stick it through next door so I don't have to touch it again. And it's like, oh man, that's absolutely minging. Don't wear socks with trainers. Well, maybe. Anyhow, rock on. Thanks everyone, especially Craig Hughes, who gave me the super chat thing. So the super chat thing works, which is brilliant, and I love you all. And it's the highlight of my week. And then next week I won't be quite as flustered at the start. It's like half an hour I spent just going, where's the go live button? And I couldn't find it because of some stupid thing that was kind of my fault. So I love you all. Steve G, Pontiac, and One Who Knocks, and Craig, and if I don't miss you, Neon Tetrahedron, and basically everyone who talks. It's just, I'm absolutely loving this. It makes it Daniel and Dava. It's such a different. I'm totally used to it now, and I absolutely love you all. Love you all. Thanks very much. You know, like, oh no, I'm not good at ending because I'm not good at finding the actual button to actually end it. And it's like having an actual community is just fantastic. You're all superb. Catch you all later. Bye-bye.